all you multi-talented, multitasking, multi-everything people out there. Take it away.
Find your glory, write your story, fearless feet will carry you. Time you own it, take your moment, be a fire burning through. Hustling from night until morning, grinding it out, it won't be long. Feel your power, it's your hour, you inspire, you are strong.
Enjoy your Zoa. No applause? You're all fired.
Hey, good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Money. Are you ready? They are ready. Covering the biggest events in the country right now.
There's a lot going on here this morning.
It's always a good time.
That's what the show's about.
That's good.
Really good. Very good.
Coming in hot, Jimmy, coming in hot.
It's far from elementary.
Good morning, America. I'm not going to try to strut like Michael or anything.
I have known George a long, long time.
Have you ever gotten him to dance?
Look at that face.
You don't just see it, you feel it.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'll be there.
I am here and so happy.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'm in.
That tells you something when Snoop Dogg's in. Michael, George, Lara, Ginger. Hey, good morning, America.
Well, hello to you, and you. Welcome into another edition of Brantley's Virtual Tour Live. We are live on tour, everybody. Hey, 5 people, welcome in. Glad to have you here. Linnell Stiller, welcome into you. Glad to have you here. Good to see you as always, my friend. Y'all know what y'all are here for. You saw the thumbnail, hang on, wait a minute. Let me flip it, reverse it, wind it back. You saw the thumbnail, you know my voice, and damn it, you know why you're here. Last night, Linsey Davis, Derek Dixon sat down for an interview on ABC News Prime, which comes on at 7 o'clock on ABC News Live. Let's get to it. Higher is waiting, low is available, but either way, we are live on tour. Let me take down this iconic intro here. You see that virtual tour background? Yes, you do. You hear that virtual tour music? Yes, you do. And then there is me. Hey, everybody, welcome in. Glad to have all of you here. We have a lot to get to for sure. We do have a lot to get to here. By the way, before we get started, Charlie Kirk has passed away. Very sad and tragic what happened. Hopefully, the right thing will happen. We'll get the reform we've been asking for. And thoughts and prayers out to Charlie Kirk's family. So just because we react to what's happening in real time. And today has been a very active day. Of course, Latoya Cantrell, any updates, we'll get to that. But let's get to this. This is a ABC News exclusive. Tyler Perry's accuser speaks out first on-camera interview since filing the lawsuit. Here we go.
Welcome back, everyone. Now to our ABC News exclusive. Tyler Perry accuser Derek Dixon sits down in a TV interview for the first time, sharing allegations of workplace sexual assault and harassment. In June, he filed a $260 million lawsuit against the media mogul. These are claims that Tyler Perry denies. But Dixon says he's speaking out now to try to stop a billionaire who won't stop themselves. What made you decide to come forward with your story?
I wanted to speak out and not stay silent about it anymore.
Actor Derek Dixon sitting down for his first television interview since filing a $260 million lawsuit against media mogul Tyler Perry, detailing the alleged sexual harassment and assaults he says he endured.
That's when he pushed me up against the wall and grabbed my ass again.
Dixon starred as Dale in Tyler Perry's BET series, The Oval.
Why are you yelling? I'm in this too, remember?
You're not in it. Did you get shot at?
No, I actually got shot.
He appeared in 85 episodes between 2021 and 2025. Tell us about the first time you ever met Tyler Perry.
Yeah, I met him at his studio opening party in 2019. I was working for an events company, and we met, and he said to me,
by the way, to give context, conjecture, and connection, do y'all remember the big grand opening? I mean, Cicely Tyson, Jill Scott, all the people that he's ever worked with were there. I mean, it was the gala. Like, I don't even know how you got a media pass to cover it, but it was the big one where every sound stage was named after somebody. That's the 2019 event that Derek Dixon is speaking out about.
are you an actor? And I said, well, not right now.
Hey, my friend.
I'm working on it,
hey,
but not right
gorgeous.
now.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you are.
Listen, if you want to come up, let me know.
Get my number and we'll talk about this.
Did any of your initial interactions give you pause?
A few of them were did give me pause, but they weren't bad enough to think like this was a dangerous situation in the beginning. Yeah.
According to your lawsuit, at one point early on, he bought you a car.
Yeah, he'd seen my Jeep around the studio that I was driving, and he said, that's not a great car.
Tyler Perry is an actor, producer, director, playwright, and prominent name in the entertainment space. He launched his career in the 1990s.
You want this half? You want this half?
His 2005 breakthrough film, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, debuted at #1 in the box office and was a massive success. To date, he's created 24 feature films, 20 stage plays, 17 television shows, and 2 New York Times best-selling books. In 2021, his prolific career earned him a spot in the exclusive Billionaires Club. His media empire includes his own production company, Tyler Perry Studios, based in Atlanta, one of the largest film studios in the country.
I'm not trying to do anything other than meet somebody at their humanity.
As his career has flourished, he's also made a name for himself in the philanthropic space. So in early 2020, you land the role of Dale on The Oval. Was that a dream job?
It was, yeah. It was. To be a series regular on a show was something I always dreamed about.
The complaint includes multiple screenshots of text messages allegedly between Dixon and Perry.
Picture where...
By the way, if you're looking for this, right, just type in Tyler Perry. We went over the whole entire lawsuit right here on Braylon's Virtual Tour Live. We stay up to date with everything else. Let's keep going. And by the way, Tyler, Jeeps have been around for a very long time. They are known for their 4x4 drive, where you in Atlanta, where it don't snow. In Arkansas, 1 layer of snow's on the ground, school is closed. But in Ohio, you need a Jeep. So don't knock Jeep. Okay, moving on.
Where he's on a jet ski. Well, I said, nice picture. And he said, yeah, the water looks calm. And he said, nice picture. You don't see that stud.
They didn't even make off-net syndication,
and I said, LOL, yes, that's a stud.
Hang on, let me pause. I'm going to go back up just a little bit. If you want to know why I said off-net syndication, usually a show has to get to 100 episodes before they're able to sell that to other, networks, right? So that's how they get their royalties. So let's just say that Braylon's Virtual Tour Live, and y'all know we always do examples around here. So let's just say that Braylon's Virtual Tour Live right here was on. We had to do 100 episodes. After those 100 episodes aired on Stars, then I'll be able to get checks because I can sell the episode catalog to other networks and streamers, right? So, but that is funny. Tyler Perry, lawyers need to look at this chat. All Tyler Perry has to admit is that he has unique ways of home auditions. The text home auditions, etc. Hopefully TP is innocent. Absolutely. And I think, Amina, what you mean is look at the chat from Derek Dixon's point of view, because we just got started. We're like 9 minutes and 43 seconds in, beautiful. But glad to have you here. By the way, Just Jonda is a good friend of mine, virtual friend of mine. We were on Remixing Politics and Culture with Pam. And I'm trying to think one more other person. but it was the four of us having a great time. So so when we get done, if Just John wants to come up, because we were supposed to do something with Tyler Perry, but as the news is, it gets crazy. And if you don't know, PD wants a retrial because apparently he believes the lawyers used the wrong definition of prostitution. He wants them to use the 1910 definition, not the 2025. That's neither here nor there, but all the way there. Oh, I get the syndication stuff. It's just that show is so damn awful. Oh my God. I'm not about to do this with you. Let's go back to this interview.
Dixon and Perry.
Picture where he's on the jet ski. Well, I said, nice picture. And he said, yeah, the water looks calm. And he said, nice picture. You don't see that stud in that picture? Rude. And I said, LOL, yes, that's a stud. And all these texts, I tried to de-escalate them and make a joke out of them.
Some of the messages more sexual in nature.
One of them says, what's it going to take for you to have guiltless sex? Have y'all found that in therapy yet? I would hope that you would let someone hold you and make love to you.
Now, the complaint also alleges that in January of 2020, there was an escalation from the text messages to Tyler Perry's behavior becoming physical. Mm-hmm. Can you explain that first alleged incident?
Yes, we were over at his house. We're having some drinks in his guest house, and it was late at night, and he has a guest quarters, and said that you can sleep there instead of not driving. And his house is far from Atlanta and where I was living. And I got into bed, and then I noticed that he climbed into bed with me as well, and started rubbing my leg. And I jumped up out of bed, and he has said, turn around so I can look at you, and just commented on how I looked. And then he got up and left. So I thought after that instance, it was pretty clear that I was not interested in that type of a relationship. It was very, very strange. I mean, I think it's okay that people try to make a move or shoot their shot, but if they get rejected, I think that they should stop. And so I thought it would stop after that, and it didn't.
At the end of the second season, Dale gets shot in the chest 4 times. Why was that especially concerning for you?
What it meant to me was if I don't make him happy, I could stay dead on the show.
And the complaint specifically says, and I just want to quote it, Mr. Perry made it clear to Mr. Dixon that he would kill off Mr. Dixon's character if he did not indulge Mr. Perry's sexual harassment. Was that message clear to you?
For me, that was his way of showing his power over us and our careers, and that he doesn't have a problem with just killing one of us off.
You're also a screenwriter and had written a TV series called Losing It. Tell us about that.
He ended up wanting to read it, and I at first was like too embarrassed to even send to him, but he did, and he said he loved it and wanted to shoot the pilot for it.
All right, let's go to June of 2021, another alleged incident that you outline in your lawsuit where you're again at Tyler Perry's home in Atlanta, and it ends up with you locking yourself in a bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
I know you do. I know you do.
Started out having drinks in the living room like I've done before, and it got to a point in the night where we were both kind of feeling drunk, and I remember we were walking back to the guest area where I've stayed before, and there was this health monitor scale on the way. And I was like, what is that? And he said, well, you have to be in your underwear to measure, whatever. So you should do it. He reached down and pulled my underwear down and grabbed my ass. And I, tried to stop him and pull back my underwear up. And he kind of grabbed my arms and said, no, it's okay. Just go with it. And I said, stop. I don't want to be naked. I don't want this. And he was just like, no, I'm not going to hurt you. And just continued. And in that moment, unless someone's been through something where they have their control over their bodies taken away, you don't really understand the kind of feelings that you get in that moment. It was almost like every thought came through my head: to run, to fight, to freeze. I didn't know what to do.
He says he de-escalated and distracted Perry and eventually locked himself alone in the guest house bathroom.
The day after that, he called several times, and I ended up getting afraid of
Yeah, I feel you.
what
It
was
should have
going on
ended the
the other
case
side.
before.
So I picked up.
And then, of course,
And that's when he said,
of course,
you know,
you
he
may
was
or
sorry
may
for what
not
happened. He
know,
doesn't.
but Braxton Wells, who was on the Storm Monroe show, in case you do not know, Tyler Perry Studios is accused of bullying Storm for covering what happened with Tyler Perry. And Storm went live 5 days ago. I saw the article from blacknews.com. I didn't read it because here's the thing I want everybody to get when it comes to content creation. If it's in the news, it's available to cover as a fire, right? So I did not read that story from blacknews.com. And actually, because I am that transparent with y'all, right here, I did not cover this. This came out right here. Tyler Perry Studios is accused of bullying black journalists for covering rape allegations. Okay. S.E. Berry, national respected victims advocate and widow of TV legend Fred Rerun Berry, is calling Tyler Perry Studios and his Vice President Mark Swinton for what she says is a targeted effort to intimidate, silence, and emotionally damage renowned media personality journalist Storm Monroe. Monroe, known globally for his courageous reporting dedication to giving victims a platform on YouTube, recently covered a rape allegation involving an employee of Tyler Perry Studios, an incident that also reported by more than 30 other media outlets. And this is the thing I don't get, right? Everybody was covering this. I mean, everybody, including me, right? And I feel like you don't get to just jump on someone because you in the news. I mean, everybody covered it, right? And so now that ABC is covering Derek Dixon, or are you going to go after ABC? Because I am sure that Storm Monroe wants to go live tonight and review the damn interview. I'm sure he does. Y'all know how I am. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Do what you say you're going to do if you can do it. And just because you don't have the best to give in the biggest capacity doesn't mean the best you have in you is not good enough for somebody. That's how I roll. That's how I live. That's how I move, right? So I'm reading it now for context, conjecture, and connection, but I did not read it at the time when this came out on blacknews.com because I'm like, everybody was covering it. Like, it's public news. Like, what the hell? And when I mean public news, y'all, I mean news that is available for you, I, or any of us to consume. That's what I mean by public news, okay? However, Monroe was uniquely singled out, receiving a threatening legal correspondence and during a live YouTube broadcast on August 11th, text message that triggered a severe emotional breakdown, anxiety text, and ongoing professional harm. Storm Monroe was threatened simply for giving someone a voice that's not only wrong, it's a violation of its rights, said Bear, and I will not remain silent while people in power use money and lures to bully journalists like Storm Monroe to fear. Legal threats against Monroe were reportedly delivered by attorney Daryl D. Miller of Fox Roswell Child LLP on behalf of Tyler Perry Studios and or Vice President Mark Swinton. Storm Monroe finally removed the contested content as of August 7th, 2025, yet no similar action was taken against the dozens of other outlets who covered the story. Barry believes these actions constitute intentional infliction of emotional distress, Civil Code 1708.7, suppression of freedom of speech under color of law, 42 USC 1983, violation of First Amendment and California press protections. As a mandated report, Barry emphasizes that threatening someone legally obtained to report abuse is not only unethical, it's potentially criminal. It also has come to light that the alleged rape victim reportedly received a settlement over $500,000 from Tyler Perry Studios or its representatives, Vice President Mark Swinton. Now, hang on a second. Is that the rest of the article? Okay. Very comments by the purpose of how I pay out $500,000, especially the victim of that you're guilty. Monroe, as a top journalist on YouTube, and Barry asked victims advocates say this kind of payout raises real questions about whether something was being covered up, rather, and silencing those who ask those questions only make it look worse. Only makes it look worse, rather. She continues, Storm Monroe is a world-renowned mogul icon of millions. He has helped shape conversations with victims and tell the stories others are afraid to share. No amount of money, fame, or legal intimidation can erase his voice or the truth. Victims will not be silenced. They will be heard. Watch the YouTube video. Y'all, Tyler Perry sent me a cease and desist, and I'm speaking out. As he should. Now, if I remember that interview, right? If I remember that interview with Braxton Wells and Storm Monroe, which we covered that live, that was a public story. Everybody was covering it, right? I think Braxton said that he actually turned down the money last time I checked. So it does appear to be a money grab. Derek visited him too many times. Just John to say, that's from Amina, by the way, that comment. Just John says, money grab or not, if you are the employer, you're not supposed to take advantage of your position. If you do, then you pay to play. And we know that because of LaToya Cantrell, the New Orleans mayor, who had her bodyguard on the side, basically being a quarterback in the bedroom, and they had Super Bowls, many Super Bowls, ladies and gentlemen. And listen, people can do what they want to do, right? Let's just say that, Braylon Lee Productions or Achieve Entertainment, whatever company name I want to do, a Braylon Lee virtual tour entertainment, right? Let's just say I'm the president. I hire Nzinga Amai to be the president of content. If we get into a relationship where she becomes Nzinga Amani Lee, Nzinga Lee, Miss Lee, if you're nasty, and we're both single, that's cool. Okay? That's cool, right? But we also have to disclose that to let the people know that this relationship is the relationship, and her job is her job, and her check is her check, and nothing extra is coming in because of the relationship. Okay? All right? Everybody got it? All right, cool. Moving on. I swear the day Nzinga Amai meets me, he's like, you really got my name in your mouth too often. I have your name in my mouth often because you're intelligent, you're sophisticated, you are beyond gorgeous. Your intellect is beyond a universe that could ever be gone through. But most of all, you always carry yourself with decency. So that's why I say Nzinga Amani Lee, because I want someone like that in my life. So if you want to shut me up, we can just start dating, and then I can just marry you, and then I can just, make it official. So be like, you're a bold one. Well, I mean, you're a bold one too, to go through what you went through to get to where you are. So, and by the way, have you ever heard of quiet ones ever making it in life? You gotta be bold in order to make it. Yeah, me and Nzinga Amai will have a good time together. We would. Moving on.
I don't know why he did that, and that maybe he was self-sabotaging or something. And in the same call, he said, and don't worry, we're going to do your show.
In the lawsuit, you describe this as a calculated pursuit of you by Tyler Perry. There are also several times where he says to you, you have to make your no stronger. Mm-hmm. How did you respond to this, as it's described, calculated pursuit of you by Tyler Perry?
To me, that's just so insulting. And I reiterated, I said stop. I said it. I don't think that people ever get past something like that happening to them.
Dixon tells us he last spoke to Perry in the spring of 2024 and left the show in September of that year. What ultimately became of your pilot?
That LAMO child.
Yeah, it hasn't gone anywhere. He still owns the rights to it. So I can't now go and sell it.
Then in January, the actor filed a complaint with the EEOC, the federal agency responsible for protecting workers from discrimination. In your response to your EEOC complaint, Tyler's representatives said, among other things, Mr. Dixon's initial letter to TPS Tyler Perry Studios about its matter demanded $42.5 million to buy his silence. They described your actions as extortion. Mm-hmm. Were you looking for money to buy your silence?
No, I think I was looking for accountability on to what he did. I think what he did was wrong, and it needed to be something that would deter him from doing this to somebody else, another actor, or in the future.
What kind of a toll would you say that this is all taken on you?
I was extremely anxious. The calls got to a point where the calls and texts were almost every day. Just this constant state of like, if I don't answer, I will lose my job. I'll be fired or killed off the show. I mean, it took a huge toll on my anxiety and depression.
You're asking in your lawsuit for damages totaling $260 million. How did you arrive at that number?
Part of that number is my lost job, my lost income, the loss of the show. The other part of that is a deterrent for, how do you stop a billionaire who won't stop themselves from doing this?
How difficult has it been to tell your truth?
It's been hard. It's been hard. It's a vulnerable thing to talk about, I think, for anybody. There's a lot of shame, I think, around it. And just trying to think what you could have done better and having to deal with the judgment of what, everyone might think of how you could have handled it better without being in that situation.
Perry has not yet responded in court filings. In a statement to ABC News, his lawyer called Dixon a, quote, individual who got close to Tyler Perry for what now appears to be nothing more than setting up a scam.
Wait, did you say a scam? Did you say a scam? Hang on 1 second, everybody. I have an expert here on scams, okay? Now, this is a very serious story, but I have an expert here on scams. Now they cut to the core, okay? They very much cut to the core, okay? So I gotta keep it a buck with y'all, okay? So here we go. All right, expert, please go ahead and give us context, conjecture, connection to how a scheme is set up, please.
They never got no picture. We was telling you a story, Mama. Well, it could have been a scheme that Todd set up for him to come to you with the booze. They never got no picture. We was telling you a story, Mama. Well, it could have.
Back to the interview. Okay.
Tyler will not be shaken down, and we are confident these fabricated claims of harassment will fail. If you were to talk to Tyler Perry right now, what would you say?
I would say, I hope that you take accountability for what happened, and I hope that this has taught you not to treat your employees this way and to never use someone's dream to coerce them into a relationship that's not professional.
What would justice look like for you?
Justice would look like thinking that I've made a change and that something like this won't happen to another actor that works for him or another actor in the industry. That would be justice for me.
Our thanks to Derek Dixon for the conversation.
Thank you, Linsey Davis. Great job there. I will say this, right, about this interview. It was 11 minutes and 55 seconds. A $260 million federal relief is definitely a scheme that Todd set up to go to court with the bullshit. Todd, honestly, bro, like, why did you go Bravo and just say, listen, I want to do a spinoff show called Todd Setups, right? Where you find everyday people who are great people who don't ask for nothing, and you being Todd set up amazing blessings for them. Like, you give them the best day of their life and stuff. Like, I think that would be a good show for Todd. Since Bertha said that you a schemer, flip it, reverse it, and wind it back and make her look stupid, but Bertha, we still love you for the quote because it's very iconic. Now, Like I said, this interview was 11 minutes and 55 seconds. I promise you, there was more. I promise you, there was more. I promise you, there was more. Usually when it comes to a journalist interview, sometimes they will do it as a special, right? Maybe on 2020. Barbara Walters is no longer around, so we don't have Barbara Walters interview specials anymore. Sometimes they will, air a clip on Good Morning America, the clip on Tamron Hall, The View. They don't air anything. They don't air anything deep on Live with Kelly and Mark because they're not deepest people. But that's neither here nor there. Listen, they do an entertainment show, and here's how simple it is. They talk for 20 minutes, okay, about their life, entertainment, this, that, and the third. They give away a vacation. Then they talk to their celebrity friends and do interviews with them so they can promote their projects so that way they won't be homeless on the street. They do some lifestyle segments. They do the inbox. They say, all right, on tomorrow's show, goodbye. They take some promos, and then they're out by 12 or 1 o'clock. Now, to the outsider looking in, you're like, damn, bro, you just reduced their job to shit. Let me just say this. That show's been on for over 30 years, okay? To have a show on even after 5 years is an accomplishment, okay? But we all know that show, the owners of that show is Regis Philbin and Kathy Lee Gifford, or Kathy Lee Johnson. Had not been for Michael Strahan saving that show, Kelly Ripa would not be on TV, because that was a very dangerous territory of who was going to replace Regis Philbin. Ryan Seacrest, the fact that he made it happen, good on him. He had a talk show back in the day called On Air with Ryan Seacrest. It was a live talk show, but really didn't take off. But he, checked that off his list. And now with Mark, husband and wife, they married. I didn't like the choice, not because Mark couldn't be good, ladies and gentlemen, but for a show like Live, you need a everyday person and a celebrity. So, for example, if me and Niecy Nash Betts hosted Live together, first of all, y'all would be laughing every damn morning, okay? Because Niecy Nash Betts is a comedian, right? She's an actress. She's an entrepreneur. She's a little bit of everything, right? So she's famous. Me, on the other hand, I'm just an everyday person. So if she my feet were so tired and rough, being, standing up for this premiere and stuff. It's like, okay, well, did you get a check for the work that you did? Because there are plenty of people right now that wish they could have a fifth of your check. You need that counter. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, the interview was hours long. They only just brought out for 11 minutes and 55 seconds. To me, we got to hear the voice behind the lawsuit for the first time. I think that's what I genuinely took away from it. It really wasn't anything new for me. Y'all let me know in the live chat. Let me see here. So this is basically just the interview itself here, right? So this is just it. So what I will do, right? Oh my God, it's a long one. Okay. So what I will do is I will read it for our disabled, right? Because we make sure everybody is included. So in case you can't see it, you can hear it. Okay. So if you can't see it, you can hear it. And if you can't hear, you can at least see it when you pull up closed caption. That's what we do over here. We make sure everybody is able to have a good time over here. Actor Derek Dixon spoke out on Tuesday in his first television interview since filing a lawsuit against media mogul Tyler Perry, sharing allegations of sexual harassment and assault he says he endured from the billionaire. Dixon, who filed a $260 million lawsuit against Perry in June. By the way, Jonda, I know you're still here. After this, do you want to come up and give your thoughts on the interview, or do you want me to keep going with the links and then after all the links, and then you want to come up? Let me know. Dixon, who filed a $260 million lawsuit against Perry in June, sat down with ABC News Live anchor Linsey Davis to discuss his alleged Hang on, let me flip reverse and rewind it back. After Derek Dixon spoke out on Tuesday, his first television interview since filing a lawsuit against me and mogul Tyler Perry, sharing allegations of sexual harassment and assault he says he endured from the billionaire. Dixon, who filed a $260 million lawsuit against Perry in June, sat down with ABC News Live anchor Linsey Davis to discuss his allegedly complicated history with the media mogul, saying he did not want to stay silent about it anymore, even though it's a vulnerable thing to talk about. It's been hard, Dixon said. There's a lot of shame around it, just to think what you could have done better and having to deal with the judgment of how you could have ended it better without it being in that situation. Okay. All right. Let me do this real quick. And actually, you know what? Yes, I'll do that right now. Let me drop the link. And as we are going through this article, because the thing that we do over here is we give context, conjecture, and connection, right? That's all we do. We take public information. That's the foundation of every tour that we do. And then the destinations that follow in terms of being curious and being inquisitive and being thoughtful of the possibilities of what could be. That's how we go on tour. So as John gets ready to come up, I'll read, parts of it. And then we can, go from there. I think y'all all know who Tyler Perry is at this point. If you don't, good Lord, go find Tyler Perry play, and then you'll know everything about him. Or watch the Boondocks episode. That'll really introduce you to who Tyler Perry is. Let me tell you something. I saw that Boondocks episode. I'm like, oh my Lord. I see why Tyler was pissed off for a very long time. Oh, Lord. Perry, who has produced 24 feature films, 20 stage plays, 17 TV shows, and 2 New York Times bestselling books, owns one of the largest film studios in the country, Tyler Perry Studios, has also earned a spot in the Billionaires Club, according to his website. The mogul also received the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award for his support through large-scale donations to the NAACP. Hang on, let me see if I can do this here. Let me see. Should be able to pin it. All right, the link is pinned there. Whenever you're ready, beautiful. Dixon says he first met Perry at a studio opening party in 2019 while he was working at an events company. According to Dixon, Perry asked him if he was an actor, gave him his number, and said, "We'll talk about this." And by the way, y'all, this is from ABC News World Headquarters in New York. It's in the Robert A. Iger building. Basically, it's a glorified building named after oneself. All of ABC, moved in because they thought being together would be better. It's just like, there's just some spaces that people should mix in. But then again, the reason why I say this is because it's one thing to put yourself in different lanes when the authenticity is not there, right? So just keep it up, but moving on. In early 2020, Dixon landed the role as Dale in Perry's BET series The Oval, appearing in 85 episodes between 2021 and 2025, a career move that he said was something he always dreamed about. According to the civil complaint, when Dixon was working on the show, Perry began sending text messages to him with some being sexual in nature. One of them says, "What's it going to take for you to have gutless sex? Have y'all found that in therapy yet? I will hope that you would let someone hold and make love to you," Dixon said. In a statement to ABC News, Perry's lawyer, Matthew Boyd, said this is an individual who got close to Tyler Perry for what now appears to be nothing more than setting up for a scam. The attorney added, "Tyler will not be shaken down. We are confident that these fabricated claims of harassment will fall." Now, here's the thing, right? We only know what we know, right? So when you see Tyler Perry, him having a massive studio, having all these shows and stuff like that, right? You would think, correct? You would think that, oh, you got a lot of responsibility on your hand. But to say to your actor, right, that I hope that you have someone that can hold you and make love to you, like, sir, how much freedom do you have running a studio? This is the outsider looking in. Okay, this is the outsider looking in. Let's roll on. In January 2020, Dixon claims Perry's physical behavior allegedly started resembling the tone of his text messages, with Dixon saying one alleged incident occurred when he was having drinks at the mogul's guest house. Instead of driving home that night, Dixon said Perry told him to stay at the guest quarters, which is when he said the encounter took a turn, the lawsuit alleges. I got into bed, and then I noticed he climbed into bed with me as well as started rubbing my leg. I jumped out of bed. He said, turn around so I can look at you, and then just comment on how I looked. And then he got up and left. So I thought after that instance, it was pretty clear that I was not interested in that type of relationship. Okay, Jonda is up here. Hello, gorgeous. Long time no see, my friend. You like our new digs? We've upgraded since the last time we spoke. No, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, no, I was just making sure I had two screens on, so now we're good. I was hearing an echo, so we're great.
Oh no, you're good, beautiful. Yeah, we've upgraded a little bit. Since we talk about real stuff, half a studio, I got a nighttime background and stuff.
I'm loving it. I'm like, you got a nighttime background. You got the whole thing. I was watching this. I said, okay, he is giving news realness. I'm down. Now you gonna make me have to upgrade. You gotta explain that to me. We have to have an off session for you to get me straight.
I will. So
I got the green screen, but I'm still working on what to do with it. But I do have one.
We'll get together because I think do you have my IG?
I think so. We'll get it figured out by the end of this because we need to because I have been dying to get in touch with you. I know we need to get back to Tyler Perry, but this is also current as well. We have got to talk about Unknown Caller.
Yes. Absolutely.
We've got to talk about Unknown Caller. And now the Charlie Sheen documentaries come out, which I can't wait to jump into tonight. Because, those of us of a certain age and lived the Charlie Sheen, actually, me being of a certain age was around for the rise and fall of Charlie Sheen. A lot of us saw it in real time when he was on 2.5 Men, Tiger Blood, and all of that kind of stuff.
Oh my God!
But because I go back even further than you do, I remember I was around for that whole squad. Charlie, Emilio, all of that when the Brat Pack essentially. So I watched the rise of Charlie Sheen in the 90s and whatever, and then the crash and burn. So he said he didn't leave anything out. So that should be
I saw that, Jonda, and I'm just like, life can still surprise you because I remember the Tiger Blood interview. It was Andrea Canning. Good Morning America. I remember the graphics.
Yes. Oh, you remember it deep.
Yes, I remember the graphics. When you were me, you remember everything. And the media graphics were like a light blue tint. And this is when they were live from Times Square. Now, for those of you who are going to be upset that I said the Robert A. Iger building is a glorified building named after oneself, before you get mad at me, you know that GMA commercial that I play? That was the last commercial that they shot from their Times Square studios.
Oh, really?
They've been in Times Square, so they were in Times Square for over 20 years.
I remember I actually went. I was in the audience.
Yes.
Not for that particular one, but
yeah. And the reason why I was so heated was for many reasons. Taylor Swift shut down Times Square. Alicia Keys shut down Times Square. When GMA went from the studio to Times Square, they were able to bring Times Square into the studio and the studio out to Times Square. And also, too, if you guys remember when Robin Roberts had her bone marrow cancer, and she said she waited 174 days to say this Good Morning America and to walk outside, and there was like this little band. Somebody actually recreated the band and held it up. And so for Robin to go outside Times Square, along with that and many other moments.
There were so many good moments.
Oh, yeah. And on top of that, too, Michael Strahan came in because he left live to go over to GMA. Yes. And they actually made that second floor studio where it's 100 people. They made that the 8 o'clock hour. At first it was 8:30 to 9, but then it became 8 o'clock where it was a live audience. Now, the second floor was home base. The first floor was the second floor studio where the audience could come in. Then they closed up the top floor studio for some time, and then they just shut it down and was just downstairs, and they have Virtual Square. And then on top of all that, they honored Robin Roberts with a plaque outside of Times Square for her legacy of being on GMA for a long time. And then you uproot America's #1 morning show from Times Square to a glorified building in a basement. So please forgive me.
It's like, who cares?
Exactly. So please forgive me as the media nerd if I think Robin Roberts, who's a legend, George Stephanopoulos, who's a White House legend, and Michael Strahan, who is a legend at making his own lane in his career, should not be in a basement of a glorified building named after oneself. Please forgive me for caring. Now that that's
I get you. I'm just sending this out to make sure we have some more folks coming in and enjoying this.
You're good, gorgeous. You're good.
Okay.
Like I said, I get passionate because this industry has given me a place to fall. You know what I mean? So
what are we gonna do with your boy Tyler? I mean, I really, honestly, when I saw the text messages, I said, okay, this is it. They're gonna wrap this up.
Yes, without question.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, no, for sure. When I found and by the way, shout to Document Tings, Tingz. I think that's how you say it, Document Tings on Twitter. I still call it Twitter because Twitter has more social capital than X. Okay, so listen, it is what it is. The bird was here first before the letter. Okay, so it is what it is. But Document Tings, they uploaded the documents to that lawsuit. So I read that whole lawsuit live here on Brayley's Virtual Tour Live. And when I got done reading through it, John, I was just like, first of all, I take media so seriously. Like, this is like a side job until this gets on Stars or Hulu or whatever. And so
I'm right there with you.
You know what I mean? So I'm even responsible, even though I don't have the multi-million-dollar deal for my show yet. Because how you start determines how you finish most of the time, right? So for you to have, and this is from the outsider looking in, right? So you having this big time studio, you having this overall deal with BET, you had this overall deal with the Oprah Winfrey Network, you had this 100 episode deal with TBS. For you being able to have this much time,
I mean, what are you doing?
It's conflicting with the magnitude of how you carry yourself. And this is just the outsider looking in. This ain't no judgment.
At the same time, does it really though? Because now, and that's where it gets interesting, right? Because on the one hand, I agree. You should be way too busy to be involved with Todd's schemes, right? You should have way too much going on. But on the flip side of that, doesn't it also, when we take it beyond the media mogul and running a studio, but take it to the man, take it to the arrogance that you usually find with any individual that is involved in some nonsense like this. Now, of course, I'm not trying to say that he's Diddy or this and that and the third, because we're still plucking out what exactly is going on here. But just reaching a certain level. Absolutely. And a certain level where individuals are like this towards you all the time, it breeds a certain level of arrogance. And with Tyler Perry in particular, we have seen glimpses of that on many levels, even creatively, with the fact that no matter how many times people tell him, whether lovingly or very annoyed, whether the subject matter is total fiction, crazy, fun, goofy Medea, or if it is something that maybe is more serious and nuanced, perhaps involving women and their experiences and whatever.
It's
It does not
driven.
matter what it is. What is the first thing that Tyler Perry will let you know when any of those criticisms, constructive and otherwise, comes up?
Yep.
He writes everything.
Yes,
He does not have a writer's room. Everything goes through him. So
Yes.
we've seen that with him in that realm. And then in other different things that have happened over the years, whether you agree with them or not, his responses to different things tends to be very high-handed. He'll of course, evoke God into it, etc. But the reality of it is that we have seen glimpses of a certain level of arrogance as it relates to Tyler. So if you were to take some of these behaviors that this individual, the accuser, is what's his name again? Derek? Yeah.
Derek Dixon, correct.
Yeah, that I knew it was something with a D. That if you were to take the things that Derek Dixon is describing as true, even if it's a portion of them, then it would be on brand for a level of arrogance that a person who should have a million other things to do,
correct,
that they would find the time for, because I'm me. I mean, if we were,
hey,
again,
Nikki, it's good to see you, my friend.
And it's interesting that her name is Nikki's News on Narcissism, because while I'm not using that word because it's so overused,
yes, it is.
We're leaning in that direction. When we talk about, even when you look at some of the things that Mr. Dixon is claiming that Mr. Perry said to him, it is very like there is this arrogance, this high-handedness, and I hate to say it, but when you see Mr. Perry speak in public, or when he says the things that he says, when I'm reading those alleged texts,
right,
and seeing and hearing what he said, in my head, I could literally hear him saying them.
Me too.
I can hear his voice.
Me too.
You should smile more, or all this stuff. And I'm sitting here like.
And to your articulate point, Jonda, I'm going to watch the replay. Just made it home. Thank you, my friend. By the way, I put up just Jonda's YouTube channel in the chat. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to her, and also to Nikki News on Narcissism as well.
Getting ready for the new season now.
Yes, let me do that right now and get Nikki News on Narcissism's channel here, because we support our own over here. We do.
Absolutely. Nikki, I'll definitely I don't want to click around too much and screw up my screen right now with Braylon, but I'll definitely be subscribing.
So let me do that there. Oh, and Nikki, you got 106 subscribers, my friend. You may have passed the 100 mark. Congratulations to you, my friend. Very proud of you. For sure. Listen, if we don't celebrate us, who will? Amen. To your articulate point, no problem. To your articulate point, the thing that, and I always say this, there's yourself and there's your damn self, right? So y'all know how I brought up the Zinga Amani, right? If I so happen to be in Atlanta and, I have some homeboys, right? And we're just talking. Then you gonna get a Braylon that's his damn self from the Rock Arkansas. Hey, what it is? That's a good damn suit. Now, that dumb shit that you did on Instagram, what the fuck was wrong with you? But if I'm with the Zinga Amani at an industry function, you ain't getting that Braylon.
No, you absolutely not.
Smooth, sophisticated. You getting virtual tour a little bit because I gotta have personality to contain the Zinga Amani's energy. But
it's still gonna be a little elevated.
Exactly. So I'm not
the many shades of us.
Say that again.
It's the many shades of us.
Exactly right. So I'm not surprised by that. I think the big thing is with Tyler Perry is when Black people love on somebody, they love them down hard.
Yes.
And when you fuck up and you don't want to take ownership, they will hate you down just as hard. So
but quick to love you back up.
Say again.
But quick to love you back up.
Oh yes, absolutely.
I'll give us that.
Yes, no,
unfortunately, we do it to a fault, but yes.
Yes, we do. So I think that's the crux of it, because my mom and dad, they got Tyler Perry movies and movies and DVDs where
we got the plays on VHS.
I'm gonna be a little bit old school. Pretend that this is a CD case. Back in the day. Okay, so listen.
No, my grandmother had the Medea plays on VHS. That is how I originally saw them.
Yeah.
We're going back OG Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I mean, this is ingrained. My grandmother does not go to the movies. She watched, of course she'll watch movies and stuff. Watch all those things. God rest her soul. She lost her, as you know, so recently. And I still have a hard time not referring to her as if she's still here. But that's VHS for us, or at least for the grandmothers, because it took them a while to switch from the VCR to the CD player, even though they were available, or DVD player rather.
Correct.
But yes, and then of course, once she was willing to switch over to the DVD player, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, Medea's Family Reunion, and all of those are on DVD.
Yes. And then let's not forget television with the power of TiVo. Now I know that Philo is around and YouTube TV. Let me just say this to everybody else. Y'all are respectfully duplicates, because without TiVo, y'all would not be able to do all this DVR stuff. They were the pivotal people that made it happen. Okay, so listen. And it's still around today, actually. So give credit to them, because in this segmented world we're in, for any legacy brand of any size, any shape, fashion, or form, or whatever, it's not easy to still be around 2025 when people drop brands and pick up brands.
So but going back to, I think I put this in the text. There's a couple of points I want to elaborate on that I put in the chat. First and foremost, and I think we both agree on this, the fact that once those text messages, now I am going to assume, and you know what they say about people who assume, but I'm going to do it anyway, that perhaps Tyler Perry is going to claim that the text messages are fabricated, because
that is true.
I'm not saying that it's
I'm just giving the slight of Tyler.
We all gonna give it the side eye.
Yeah, because it's just like to both of our points, from the outside looking in, you got a lot of shit to do. Like,
I'm going to assume that, number one, they are going to claim that the text messages were either fabricated, or if not totally fabricated, taken out of context, AI moved, you know how on reality shows they Frankenstein things. People say they'll say they Frankenstein that this Derek Dixon, unemployed Derek Dixon, because unlike Tyler Perry, he doesn't have as many things to do. So that maybe this became his job, which is was to take legitimate communication that they had and make it look how it looks. And let's face it, we know that those things that can happen. That is why, for those people who do what I do, which is why, when I'm thinking of these things, I always try to think of what are both sides going to say.
Absolutely.
That is why when you are introducing certain things in court, particularly things like phone records and those types of things, that is why you go to the original source. That is why you do a subpoena duces tecum, so that you can get them from the actual keeper of the records, i.e. the phone company. There's a reason for that, and the reason is because, just like a chain of custody and with a police officer, who got the gun, who bagged the gun, who fingerprinted the gun, all those things. It's the same thing. You can't you have to be fair about the possibility that these documents that you can't ask questions because it's a document, you can't cross-examine. You have a right to confront your accuser, but you can't confront a piece of paper.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
the only way to deal with that is you have to make sure that they are, beyond reproach, which is why you want them to come from the original custodian. I say all that to say that these are the types of ways that I would imagine Tyler Perry, who has attorneys that charge way more than I do and bigger buildings and more expensive suits and dresses, that's the least of what they would argue, that if not these documents cut and pasted and Frankenstein together, that if not that they are just a complete and total AI fabrication entirely.
Absolutely.
And the reason, and I know that it seems like I'm harping on the text message, but I know you already know where I'm going with this. That the reason why I'm making such a big deal out of it is because those messages alone, if a trier of fact, whether it's judge, jury, whatever type of trial this hopefully won't be, because I don't think that would be a good look for Tyler. If those things are taken as true, they're not thrown out as fabrications, they're not thrown out as AI trash, whatever, that is enough to infer that there was an improper relationship going on here. And I don't mean improper as in there was, I'm not going to go as far as to say there was assault and all that. I think there is a lot of healthy debate about that can be had about that without us being accused of victim blaming because of the fact that he was free to come and go and be there as often.
Absolutely. And not to mention too, on top of that too, this wasn't a couple, right?
And those types of things. So I think that we're good on questioning those things without, getting hit with a label about victim blaming in that regard. But at any rate, I think that there is enough there to infer. When I say improper, I'm talking about it's employer-employee, as in if this person was working for you, there are certain conversations that you should not be having. Now, do we all know and probably experienced or even participated in it in some way in the real world that people, subordinates and their superiors sometimes have conversations that they probably shouldn't have? Sure. Even if you're both talking about your marriages or your relationships and whatever, technically you shouldn't necessarily be talking about that in the workplace, especially if something of a sexual nature comes into play. We all do it, or we've been around it. However, all of that goes out the window the minute someone claims they have been harassed or they have or file a lawsuit. And that's what makes it so tricky, because as regular people, we look at this and go, oh, this is total BS. Like someone, and understandably so, I think Amina, I could say your name right. I'm not hating on what she said. She was like, money grab. He went to his house. He visited him too many times or whatever. That is a normal reaction to any of that. I get it. And that's why I said, I'm not saying that it's not, especially 260 million. Come on.
Right.
But at the end of the day, this is why things in the workplace this is why things in the workplace are tricky, because while we know that in the real world that regular people have conversations every day that if they were under scrutiny, they really shouldn't be having,
Right.
But we do it anyway. The minute somebody pulls the trigger on, I feel uncomfortable, I feel harassed, I feel whatever, you are screwed, because that employer employee, superior subordinate relationship is going to trump everything. And at the end, now the thing with Tyler Perry, unlike someone who works for the government and all of those and what have you, the thing that with him is obviously he's not going to be fired. Right? He runs Tyler Perry Enterprises.
I mean, when you own everything. When you own the nuke, you can do whatever you want.
I don't know the totality of his corporate structure. We know he's not on the New York Stock Exchange, so we know that he doesn't have to worry about a whole bunch of shareholders throwing him out and what have you. I'm going to assume, and again, assumptions, I'm going to assume he probably has some kind of board of directors or something like that. But at the end of the day, as long as he is not being accused of full on, and I'm not saying that any kind of assault isn't wrong. I'm talking about for regular folks.
Yes.
For regular folks outside looking in, as long as his studio is making money, which it is, as long as he is making money for other people, which he is, Netflix and Prime, he premieres at #1 no matter what kind of shinagash he throws at him. And Beauty in Black, the season 2 is about to come back.
Yes.
That will be #1 again. That will be #1 as well. So
and Medea's I think it was Medea's Destination Wedding just came out on Netflix.
It doesn't even matter what it is. It's going to be #1, even if it's #1 for a day. For sure. That he put out with Corey something, the Mallory sisters ex-husband.
Oh, yes. Corey. I think what was it? Corey Hart and Corey Hart and Megan Good. Yes, that movie.
Yeah,
yes.
Wasn't it The Divorce in the Black or something like that?
I believe something within that realm, yes.
It was Divorce something. Complete and utter. Oh my God.
I did not see it, but I heard a lot of reviews about it.
Oh,
and had a
my
lot
Lord.
to say.
I'm telling you that the first 5 minutes alone may not have quite risen to the level, but it almost, or maybe on the same level as alimony. How the hell did Taraji end up on that boat level foolishness? That is how crazy that mess was. But guess what? It was still #1. And it was a #1 for weeks. Because then it was #1 because people were watching it because of his foolishness. But all of that, me and you, we'll go down a rabbit hole. All of that being...
No, go right ahead. As you do that, I'm going to bring something up to add some context, conjecture, connection. Go right ahead.
All of that being said, as long as he has not, no one has proof of him beating anybody's brains out, or, there are any women involved in these, because let's face it, sadly, sexism is what it is. We would be having this would be handled very differently if there was a woman making these accusations versus a man. And however sexist and crappy and double standard that is the world we live in, and that is coloring the nature of this discussion and why it is something that only comes up when he filed the case. Couple of days people talked about it, and now interview, couple of days people talk about it, and then back to regularly scheduled programming.
Correct.
So we have to make sure that there's context as it relates to that as well. But the bottom line is, as long as Tyler Perry Studios is inextricably linked to Tyler Perry, his name, his talent, he's the only one who does the writings. He set the rules. He set the schedule. He does everything. It makes money, and there is no proverbial smoking gun. Tyler Perry will be fine. That being said, he still should not take advantage. And I always say this to people, just because you will be fined, it doesn't mean that you take advantage of your position. So he still should not take advantage of the fact that when all is said and done, he will be fine, because the core support of his audience is still rooted in that whole church, religion, all of that. And while I don't think they will completely abandon him, you still have to be careful with how you treat those who love you. And you need to be respectful of those who love you. And those who love him and who will go up for him no matter what kind of crap he puts out, good or bad, and so sometimes it is crap, you have to be respectful of those people. And I'm not saying it all is, but
No, I get what you mean. I mean, there's a huge majority that they feel the way they feel.
I mean, it's all relative, but he needs to be respectful of his audience, and you need to treat them with care. And to be respectful and treating that church core audience, those grannies and all of that, with care is to not go to trial and have this little white boy up there, because that's what the grannies will call him, little white boy, have him up there talking about all kinds of stuff, beyond the stuff that we have already heard, beyond the stuff that, since the grannies haven't read the actual complaint like you and I have, to have all of that live and in living color reported on every day. This takes me back, and this allows me to come full circle back to those text messages. If there is any iota of that can be proven that those text messages are true, there's too much inference there for you to not just go ahead and settle and get this white boy off TV, off the media, and for God's sakes, not in a courtroom.
No, absolutely. And to that point, by the way, y'all, for those of you who don't know, John, she is a lawyer. So that's why I am just sitting back and observing and taking and consuming, because listen, and y'all already know how we roll over here. I give the media social side. I know what I know. Okay, that's it. That's all. I don't pretend to be nothing else but myself. Okay, so when we do have expertise, it's important to let them breathe and say everything that they need to say. And to that point, I think what's so interesting. And I thought about this today, right? Because we're getting to fall television. And I just typed in Sherri Shepherd because she's got her talk show. Apparently it's coming out in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, everybody's getting ready to pop off.
Yes, it's quite interesting that as this interview happened yesterday, that Sherri Shepherd's not on, because y'all know Sherri Shepherd was in that movie Straw.
And that's cute, by the way. That's a cute picture. Go ahead, Miss Sherri.
Yeah, she's definitely doing her thing, and I have to give it to her. I actually got to meet her. I got to meet her virtually on Clubhouse, the audio app.
Oh, awesome!
It was very, very cool.
She
was very low key. And Sally Cohen, who's on Clubhouse as well, we were in I think it was a dating room, and she was like, "I'm just having fun dating this, that, and the third," and very lovely personality. She came into the Onyx collab. One of my colleagues, one of my co-hosts, Rosalie, said, "Well, he falls asleep in the collab." I'm like, I don't ask for much, but when there's a person here that can really make my name, could you please elevate me, and then you can drag me?
Exactly. Don't let me sit there snoozing.
Exactly. But I was up for the whole conversation, but lovely person. And I only bring this up, right, because in 2 weeks, when Sherri goes live,
it's not just Sherri. Usually everybody goes live around the same time, although it seems like everybody's a little late. Remember,
because
before
usually,
it was like pretty much Labor Day shows start.
Exactly, because one of the biggest premiere dates is September 13th or September 14th for talk shows, usually around that time. But September 13th is a Friday, so it's kind of hard to kick off a premiere weekend. It's on a Friday. But to that point, right now with talk shows, I'm gonna give you a little bit of an insider view. As y'all know, I am a media nerd of social media. There's many of us, but I'm the main one in charge. I joke, okay, but nobody can beat me at being me, though. Let's get that straight too. But with that, thank you, my friend. Thank you. Right back to you. So, usually a talk show would tape from August all the way to next May, except for talk shows like The View because they have their summer recess and they come back in August, right? Yeah. So usually,
and a lot of them have been doing that more and more. The TV landscape and scheduling has definitely changed. I noticed the sweeps weeks have changed and all of that, but we know that streaming has impacted all of them, especially because unscripted shows. Because I can't figure out when nothing comes on now, which makes it hard because I enjoy unscripted television. I meant scripted television. I enjoy unscripted television. I'm an OG reality TV person, going all the way back to the 1800 house on PBS, even before The Real World. But I also am diehard for my scripted television too. But they make it hard for those of us who are loyal to scripted television because I can't figure out when anything comes on.
And that, and with that too,
and we know again, streaming is part of the problem.
Oh yeah, and with that being said, for example, let's just say that Jonda has a talk show, I have a talk show, anyone has a talk show,
and we will,
and we will for sure. So when you guys finally hear the premiere date for a drama or a sitcom or a talk show or just anything in television, that has usually been talked about by many executives. It's been talked about by the accountants. It's been talked about by everybody because there's a thing called the upfronts. Now, everyday people can't go to the upfronts unless if you're a content creator, you can give me your pass and all that stuff. But that you didn't hear that.
But now there's so many content creators, it's even hard to it's hard to get those. The game is just
it's definitely evolved. So what an upfront is, basically the networks tell the advertisers what shows are coming, right? Absolutely. So when you hear like September 19th or October 20th, they have figured out their schedule of when it should air based on not just audience demographics, but also to the not just age demographics, but also to the time slot. Because daytime is usually what talk shows air 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock is rare. That's like evening news. Morning time is 7 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. But then you have prime time, which is at 8, 7 Central. So when you hear 8, 7 Central, that is prime time. So, like I said, with talk shows, usually during August, right, they would be preparing like Sherry's doing now. She would be preparing for summer promos. The team will be doing their production meetings of, okay, what happened this summer? We got to catch up with this. We got to catch up with that. And as they get ready for the season, then they're doing the media tour. So they only have from August all the way up to their premiere date. With all that being said, the reason why it's going to be interesting for Sherry Shepherd is because with Wendy Williams, when she was on the air, she was like Braylon Lee. Okay, we just work in two different fields because I cover everything else. Wendy just covered pop culture, but she also did what worked. Right, so you do what
and it worked for her.
Absolutely. But she would do basically what The View does. She would do May, June, July, and the only reason why she didn't do August was because the union said your crew has to have at least 1 month off. But she has said many times if it had not been for that, they would have been on all year. So when you do pop culture, it's hard to miss because I know even now with me preparing for my relaunch, it is trying to figure out, especially with the balance, how I do cases, but I also will do, news and pop culture. Well, a lot has happened and it's stuff that I would typically talk about. So I feel, where somebody like a Wendy would be with saying, because I'm doing current stuff and the audience that likes that kind of stuff likes to be current. So if you have a fully for those people, and I know you get it because while you talk about things generally, you do also talk about current things. Yes. So when you talk about current things
and you have an audience who's interested in current things, yes, they may listen to you wax poetic about other stuff, but typically when you do that, because I've seen you do it, you will do a separate show about something that is not necessarily timely. Because when it comes to the day-to-day stuff, if that's what that audience is looking for, and you want to do a news catch-up, and then you can also get some views because some of that stuff is juicy, it's like, what do I hit and what don't I hit? Or if I hit it, how can I synthesize it to make sure whatever? Because there's been a lot that has happened over the past several months. I mean, I went dark right when the Diddy trial started. So it's like, you know, and I did a big build up to that, but then life be lifing. So then it's like, you know, so I get it.
And now I appreciate the context, conjecture, and connection, because this live here, I was actually going to do this morning, but I'm like, you know what? No, wait a minute. Do your normal show this morning. Do your 7 to 8 destinations, because when you do a deep dive topic of something current, you need that time slot. Now, as a content creator, when you're first starting out, you're just trying to get your audience. But the bigger the topic, the bigger the slot. When it comes to something like this, you more than likely probably want to do around 4, 5, or 6 o'clock, because that's when your audience is home. So even though people say there's no appointment viewing,
there is.
YouTube is being watched on TVs more than ever before, and they still have that 4, 5, 6 o'clock slot in their
And
head.
if nothing else, the thing that's great now, because of phones and stuff, especially for someone like me who likes to absorb content even as I'm going from place to place, and I know that I'm not the only one, the thing that our phones and streaming and stuff have allowed us to do is absorb content during our commute. So that 4 to 6 for working people is doing their commute, and they can have the show on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so with all that being said, the reason why I brought Sherri Shepherd up is because when she comes on in 2 weeks, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, John Murray is not going to be an executive producer on the Sherri Shepherd Show anymore. They are good. He did that for 2 seasons. But before John Murray got on as an executive producer of the Sherri Shepherd Show, he was the owner of alwaysalist.com, right? So he had a life before becoming Sherri Shepherd's executive producer.
This is John Murray, the one from Philly, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So he's leaving the show. So, and that makes sense. I didn't think he would stay there for it, because John is a person.
No, because he already had his own thing.
Exactly right.
But it's great, because even when you have your own thing, if there's something that can elevate your brand, you do it. And you know, Sherri took over a big slot.
Yeah.
And managed to make it her own, which was very, very tough for her to do. So kudos to her. I think one day did do a deep dive just on that alone, because I think there were sadly more people rooting for her to fail than to succeed.
Right. No, absolutely. And this is the thing too, like her. And this is the thing too, like Sherri Shepherd.
And John was a part of that success. So good to him. Good for him.
Without question. And listen, I get that people miss that Wendy energy. When you heard, and here's Wendy, and you heard and you saw those doors open, and you heard that audience came through everyone's television.
But I think what wasn't fair about it was that the rooting for Sherri to fail was almost as if she did something to Wendy that she was, you know what I'm saying? It was almost like she pushed her out. And I think that's what the thing that bothered me about it, because I'm like, we're all watching this whole situation unfold in real time. We all know that Sherri does not have anything to do with what is going on with Wendy. And my thing is, even from a cultural standpoint, even though they're two different people and operate very differently, I would still rather see somebody that looks like me with that time slot than somebody who, well, doesn't.
Right,
and
exactly.
somebody was going to get that time slot because it was a talk show time slot.
Yes.
And the money and a potential audience was there.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of
sure.
plugging in the right person.
No, without question. And this is the thing too, like
And
Sherry
it could have very
Shepherd.
well been Nick Cannon. He imploded on himself.
Yeah, no, for sure. And originally Nick Cannon was supposed to do late night on Fox. Like I always say to y'all, if you understand the moves that are happening around you, you understand what you're seeing in front of you. He was supposed to do a late night show on Fox.
Yeah, he was supposed to be basically the second coming of Arsenio, but for this generation. So, with its differences. But that's essentially what was supposed to happen.
Exactly. And so because Nick Cannon went to the Wendy Williams show, Deborah Mercury gave him a slot. He was, from Harlem. And not to mention, too, Sherry Shepherd, she's been on The View for a long time. She did Match Made in Heaven on WeTV. She has acted. She has done the work.
And she's quick because
very
at the end of the day, she is a comedian. So she has the wit to do it. She has had her missteps on The View. We ain't going to go there because we loving on her right now. So we ain't going to talk about that. But she had her missteps, but I also, in giving her grace, equate those missteps to the political commentary and that type of thing not being her realm. A good talk show host, but just not necessarily that particular show.
Exactly.
Because and let's face it, The View makes that misstep consistently when trying to fill the young host.
And honestly, very good point. And honestly, to tell you the truth,
hell, they started out bad with Elizabeth Hasselbeck. In all the years The View has been on, they've probably only gotten that seat right maybe 30% of the time.
Right. And also, too, The View actually evolved into more of a news show because originally Barbara Walters, God rest her soul, first woman in network news, right, with Harry Reasoner and everything else. And the interview specials were a way for her to get out of that, right? Because she was also the first woman anchor on the Today Show. And the way
she was tired of it.
Yeah, she was absolutely tired of it. And so the way that she could get more airtime is that she did lifestyle segments. But as we see, lifestyle has evolved to, stuff like this, right? So I say all that to say when Barbara Walters came with The View, they were even particular with her about that because she was still working for ABC News and they wanted her to have this news energy. But Barbara was like, I have a personality. And so Barbara Walters had not Elizabeth Hasselbeck, but had Meredith Vieira be the moderator.
Yes.
And so she would jump in and out.
He'd come in and out.
Exactly. And so it was a pop culture show at first.
Now.
Yes, exactly. So it was a pop culture show at first, and then they start getting into that. But the thing about Barbara, and I think the reason why people love Barbara so much is because she was like me and China. She could flip on a dime. Right? She could sit down with Barack Obama on the couch and then she could talk to some viral star that, how the hell did you get here? Because it was her curiosity.
How the hell did you get here?
Exactly.
Although I got to tell you, just this is a quick aside. One of the things that I so love, absolutely brilliant woman, and like Barbara can flip from talking about politics to talking about bullshit. Whoopi has decided she has reached her and mind you has been that way pretty much since she's been the moderator on The View. She decided literally the day she got to The View that she was going to be in her if you want me here, you need to recognize I don't give a era. Exactly. And Whoopi will not sit on that couch with no foolishness. If you notice, well, I know you notice because you watch. Whoopi don't sit down with no social media people. She doesn't sit down with the latest little just had your first hit so everybody think you the person or whatever. Whoopi is not gonna do it. she's not gonna sit down with somebody on their first hit. Now, after you have been around for a while and got 15 Grammys, you might get her to come out and say hi.
Exactly.
But
Right.
Whoopi does not. She will sit at that desk. She will debate. She won't debate. She'll cuss them out. Whatever. You let them have one of them segments. Whoopi don't sit with no Kardashians and no whatever. It's she don't do it, and I love it.
And this is the thing too.
She
For
might
those
sit with the mama, but that's it.
No, absolutely. And for those of you who are wondering, I just saw like a report from the Wrap that says she can't retire from the because she didn't marry off well. Now that's alleged. Okay, I think that you know what?
I think it's a contractual thing. I thought that she's got like 2 more years on her contract.
Yeah, I believe so. Hang on, let me bring the Wrap. WHOO. Here we go. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of the simple fact for those of you who may not know. Like I said, with The View becoming more of the news show, there is a difference between you being about this and you having to be about this, right?
Yeah.
So when the Diddy trial happened, and Jonda remembers and I think all y'all remember, I have an 11 a.m. show and a 6 p.m. show on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and a Tuesday show at 6 o'clock. Let me tell you how much that trial took it out of me. I went live every day, Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock. Okay.
You were my hero with that. There were several people who I was impressed with. You were one of them. There was several people who I was impressed with, especially those who sat and did those who sat. There was the guy, as we know, gosh, it's going out of my head, but we all followed him. The guy on Twitter who was sitting in the courtroom and
yes, oh my God,
I know, right?
I think I know who you're talking about too. It was something press at the end of that. I can't remember the name, but I do remember.
He was killing it, and so he was in there. So he's literally typing the entire time, and there were individuals. Pam Esquire was one of them, who would sit there all day and refresh so that you could read it, because you got to refresh in order to read it.
Correct.
And then read it, talk to her audience in between, and then read it some more, because of course, as we know, what made trials like Diddy, like R. Kelly. Now, I did do the R. Kelly trial in real time, but what I did with that is I would just go over the transcripts at the end of the day and then do my show. And also, because at that time I was exclusively on the pod, I wasn't on YouTube, then I didn't have to, get in the hair and makeup and whatever. I would just read and then just start talking. And I didn't do it verbatim. I would just give, a summation and then talk, and kind of give my legal explanations for what happened. But because that was in federal court as well. But I think what has happened, obviously the interest in the Diddy trial, and of course content creators seeing the numbers that they were getting, instead of doing end of the day raps, they would, felt it was worthwhile to stay on there all day, which I'm not knocking, but that was a lot of work, because again, the only way that you can get it in real time is if you're following homie on Twitter, because he was the only one that was really doing it to that degree. CNN and a couple of other networks caught on to how popular what he was doing was. Their people still weren't as word for word as him. They were kind of maybe like every 15 or 20 minutes, but he was literally
in real time.
Her,
absolutely,
him, she, that. It was phenomenal. But it was you guys who did it. It was a lot. It was tremendous work, because I know for me, if I had been able to devote the time to it that I thought I was going to be able to before life happened, I would have probably had to do it just the same way that I did R. Kelly, because it was just a lot to be doing it, to sit there all day, because I read it every day, but of course I would just do it in the evening and just read it all straight through. Or if I was on my way back and forth to court, I would turn on Pam or someone who was reading it in real time.
And this is the thing too, the way that I format the show, I recognized that everybody was going to do it. And literally, I said throughout my lives to everybody who made to New York, on your own money, on your own dime, didn't have no network behind you. Y'all did y'all fucking shit. Every single
They
one
really
of y'all
did.
And,
They really did. Because
they
it's not just the fact that they had to go there and they were on their own dime, not to mention that I don't know everybody's lives, their real lives. So I don't know what their day jobs were. I'm assuming, and I think it's safe to assume that some of the YouTubers who get, fairly big numbers, that may be their primary because of the type of numbers that the type of numbers that they get. So it wasn't a matter of taking off work, but there were people who definitely said, yes, I took off work. I don't know if I would have, mentioned that. I know that was probably a little tricky. I guess it depends on their job. And hey, if you got vacation time, you do what you want with it, right?
Utilize it to your best advantage.
Put in for it, you just better not have called in sick.
That part.
But if you had vacation time, again, you can do what you want, right? But like you said, it's not just the fact that they took the time and the money and everything to be there, but also the mechanics of it. Because they had to wait. They had to wait outside. The line started at when it was dark 30. It was like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Some of them were paying people to wait in line for them.
Mm-hmm.
Now I will
That's
tell
what I was
you.
gonna say. To that point, yes, to have people wait for you, and then there was sometimes. Not the day, but the times change of when they started and when they ended the court days as well. And so for some of them,
it was very. Some days were a little wacky with them,
and so right. And so for me, what I recognized was this: I am great at being able to go on tour about anything and everything, because I am curious about anything and everything as long as it makes sense. When it came to the day trial, it was a combination of Jonda and myself in doing those lives because of this crux, right? I'm not an expert, but I am an expert at my culture. Mm-hmm. So for me, getting the NBC News link, because they recapped it the best. They just went from the beginning to the end of the day. Then I'm like, okay, after we go through the day.
I like them because for somebody like me who on certain days when I didn't have time to tune in to this one or that one, I needed something that I could read straight through.
Exactly right. So I got NBC News, gave the context, conjecture, and connection. Then I added dynamic video because words can only do so much. So I added dynamic video. Yes.
Truthfully, there was a lot of wasted time in the Diddy trial. And when I say wasted time, I'm saying for wasted time for those who are looking for something salacious, because not everything was salacious. Even if there was a witness whose presence was salacious. You understand what I'm saying? There are some witnesses who the idea of them and the overall summation, for want of a better word, there is a better word, it's just not coming to me right now, of what they were there for and what they, what they were, what their purpose was supposed to be, was actually more interesting than what they actually said. Now, that being said, I do not fall into the category of some of those commentators who feel that the prosecution did not make their case en masse. I actually don't believe that. I think that
they threw down. They really did.
I agree. I think that there are some areas where the prosecution could have done better or again wasted time. There was at least an entire witness or two that was an number one, a waste of time, and number two, did not help. And probably the mere fatigue of the witness on the jury made them damaging to the case, when what they said didn't necessarily hurt nor help the case. Their mere presence and that they were dragged on for so long was problematic. There was, and I know that you know the young lady I'm talking about. She was one of the later witnesses. I think they had her on for like 3 freaking days. It was the one. In fact, there was 2 that were kind of like. But the one in particular, I think that was really like where they really should have realized early on, you know what, let's wrap this up and take her off the stand because she's on some BS. The one who was the current girl.
Was that the one where 50 Cent kind of gave it away and was supposed to? Okay.
And it wasn't just 50. It was about 500 social media commentators as well. Yes, it was the one who is allegedly, because we're not going to be like them.
Exactly.
The one,
exactly right.
We're not putting ourselves, but the one who them other people.
Exactly.
Them other people claim has a connection to another big rap star.
Correct.
And who clearly was doing everything she could to admit. I think that she, in trying to grant her some grace, not too much,
right,
but a little bit, I think that she was in probably what in her mind was a very difficult situation.
Oh, absolutely.
Because for her, it wasn't so much fear because of what he has allegedly done to her in the past and worrying about him doing things to her in the future. Her situation was a little different because as far as she was concerned, she was on the current roster. She was a current boo of probably many, but doesn't matter. Clearly, none of them cared about that. She was on his current roster and payroll as a part of his roster.
And even said it in the case that
exactly
that
when he got locked up. So then it's like, wait a minute. I already know that he's charged with this stuff. There's indictments, there's raids, there's this, there's that, or whatever. And I am still riding dirty being on the roster for whatever reason, whether it's because of the mental mind games or whatever. The point is, you got somebody on the current roster and you're trying to have them testify to things that could potentially put this person at worst for her, at worst, put him away for life. At best, he gets to come home, but you're a snitch and you were supposed to be one of my current chicks. So clearly you're off the payroll and I know what you're capable of.
Exactly. And I think when it came to the coverage of that, right? Because this is how I did it. Okay. Now, if you're going to do it, utilize public information to your advantage. This was the sketch. Now, 50 put out this post. I'm not saying shit, but 50 put out this post that looks like this. That's how you do that, because at that point, it's public information, right? And with the Tyler Perry thing, I think the biggest thing to link that back to the Diddy trial.
Yes, let's get back to Tyler, because the Diddy situation is coming back, so we're going to be back on that soon enough.
Sure.
We ain't gotta.
And the reason why I wanted to bring the Diddy situation to the Tyler Perry situation is this. And back to my point about Sherry Shepherd, because I wanted to land that point home. When she premieres in 2 weeks, everybody in the audience knows that interview happened with Linsey Davis on ABC News Prime. That's your friend. Are you going to talk about Tyler in your season premiere or season premiere week or not?
No, absolutely not. No reason to. I vote no. I'm telling you, if I'm Sherry and I'm in a production meeting, you're not going to convince me to do it. Number one, not only do I work with him, and let's not just talk about the fact that I work with him from the standpoint of getting jobs, but also from the standpoint that it has been universally acknowledged that when they do get those Tyler Perry jobs, he pays whether the project is good, bad, or indifferent, and we'll just say it's in the eye of the beholder. He pays them more than anybody else. So she has no reason at this point to turn on him. Also, just in terms of Sherry, there's a couple of reasons. We also have to remember, from a personality standpoint, Sherry Shepherd also, even in instances where we're like, now girl, she tends to be a brother apologist. She's on the Iyanla Van Zant side of put your head on my bosom and let me rub you.
Yeah, I remember that Jonathan Majors interview.
Sherry Shepherd is one of those. She tends to tiptoe through the, and I love you, Sherry, but we gotta call it like we see it. Sherry tends to tiptoe through the pick-me daisies. So that's a whole other reason. Unless she absolutely had to, because Tyler settled the case and it's front and page, and she's like, Tyler Perry settled the case. Next, that is the only way that she would talk about it. At this point, people who like a Sherry, who don't want to touch this, and I'm inclined to think Tamron might not touch it either. And she's more of a newswoman, definitely more of a newswoman. I mean, yes, she does a personality show, but in her heart, she's a newswoman.
She's a journalist, yeah.
Yes, she's a journalist. I think that this story, what is helping this, and this is where Tyler Perry's own media knowledge comes into play. Sure. What is helping him in these outside of social media and non-legacy media spaces, with it not being talked about as much, other than this interview, of course, is that as long as he doesn't respond legally, then it's really not much of a story. As long as this just remains the guy saying this, I issued a denial and that's it, then the story doesn't really have a chance to catch legs, because at this point, this man filed this case, in June? June or July? It's been a minute. I mean, not that I forgot about it, but it was definitely way off my bingo card.
Same. It came and went, but then when I think it was definitely, I think it was May or June. Now the reason
why I say that, now this is me putting my lawyer hat on, is that we are long past the point of response. Now, what I would guess, because Tyler Perry can afford, again, the lawyers with the better suits and the bigger buildings, is that, and again, and I will double check this, and I'll hit you in the DM with verification of this, because obviously I'll just go into Pacer and pull it up. But I'm going to assume, because it would literally be damn near malpractice for his attorneys to simply not respond to the court in any conceivable way. What I am going to assume is that perhaps his attorneys have filed something for leave for a late response. So let's say if this is like I'm in Virginia with divorce, you file for divorce, the person has 21 days to respond. The person doesn't respond in 21 days, or somebody comes to my office, hires me on the 20th day. I'm not going to have your response in on time. I will file a leave for to allow me to respond late, so that I'm still going to respond. You're not going to be able to go in and say, well, they didn't respond on time, so I should get a default, whatever. So I'm going to assume his attorneys did that because in whatever the equivalent is in for that particular court's rules, because the idea that they simply just have been ignoring this for 2-3 months is just absolute insanity. Yeah. That being said, that lack of response actually helps to keep it out of the news cycle, because right now all you have is just this person running around saying all this stuff, and number one, it doesn't have a sense of urgency because of the double standard of sexism, the fact that it's a man, and then of course white privilege as well. White man making so there are some key factors that are helping Tyler in his no response stance right now. It's a man, so that's the general sexism double standard. It's a white man, so then it's for Tyler's core audience, which is us, then it's like, oh, here they go going after another brother. First it was this one, then it was that one. That whole argument.
That train will start for sure.
Exactly. That rolls big time hard when he's he's a millionaire. And the third one is that which is important as well, is the facts, even as told by the alleged victim, lend itself to people's assumptions related to the first two, because of things like exactly what Imani said, like the fact that he went there so many times, that there were conversations back and forth, the fact that he was not that yes, there's a general age difference, but not one of these Diddy like 19 and 52-year-old age difference. So there are the actual facts of the case that actually bolster up the first two issues, the fact that it's a man, the fact that it's a white man trying to take a brother down by coming up with some bullshit and a scheme that Todd set up. Exactly. And so, yes, he is his employer. And again, I do think that is a real line, no matter how people feel about the facts, that is a line. And if this was a corporation, if this was, in fact, this just happened, a major corporation, it was just somebody literally just lost their job for this the other day. Who was it? I'm gonna look it up while we're talking. Major corporation CEO loses job.
And by the way, everybody, the reason why I brought that situation up of Will Sherry mentioned it is because eventually, it's going to somebody has probably already brought it up, of being able to, hey Sherry, do you at least know what's going on? So maybe she won't say, but at least acknowledge that.
It is a major story for the purposes of right now, because the mofo was on ABC. Was it ABC? Yeah, ABC.
Yes, it was on ABC, correct.
Yeah. It's got to be discussed.
Yeah.
It just won't be one of her stories. Will it be discussed in that room when they're tossing around stories? Yes. And also, by the way, it's Nestle. CEO of Nestle, and I'm sure he's got a golden parachute.
Yes, I think I do remember that.
Yes, this is just 5 days ago. Because again, when you are in, I won't say real companies. Well, I'll say real companies in the sense that it's a company where there's other entities that
sister brands
your
and sister,
fate in their hands.
branches. Yeah.
Whereas Tyler Perry Studios, he is the fate. You know?
Yeah, the buck stops with him. Absolutely.
The Nestle, the buck stops with him. Whereas Nestle, there's a board or whatever. This guy was dimed out. What makes this story even more salacious is, yes, he lost his job because of allegations of him sleeping with a subordinate. But I think why he really lost his job is, do you know who dropped a dime on him?
The mistress?
The other mistress who was his subordinate as well that he was sleeping with. Oh
Lord.
Your side chick dropped a dime on you and your other side chick. Both side chicks are subordinates.
Now I'm going to do a media reference, and it's going to be a dad joke. I'm just going to let y'all know now. Did he drink from the Nestle Carnation milk, or did he drink from the Nesquik? Which was it? Was it chocolate or was it vanilla milk? Listen, y'all can get from there. I know y'all not gonna like me in the comment section. Y'all gonna be like, you pay attention to me way too damn much. Stop it. But it was right there. What was I supposed to do?
It wasn't even a pretty situation. It wasn't even like she heard or whatever. She caught him in a hotel. The mistress, yes, she caught him in a Swiss hotel with the subordinate. So he was a senior executive. So obviously she's under him, but she's a senior executive, so she isn't a subordinate to the same degree. Absolutely. But she is said to be his mistress. She caught him in his hotel in Zurich with a subordinate, then filed a complaint through the company's anonymous hotline, and that triggered an internal investigation.
My Lord Jesus.
So the investigation revealed that he had been having a romance with an underling who was a senior marketing executive who had already left the company earlier this year. Now, you and I both know sometimes how these things work. Let's call a spade a spade. If Nestle was making money, he would probably still have his job.
Oh, absolutely. Without question.
I don't think, Nestle may be dibbling and dabbling in a lot of things, but I doubt that they are at the top of their game, no matter how many things fall under the Nestle umbrella. If Nestle was knocking it out the park, he wouldn't have lost his job.
I think with some companies, it depends, like you said, on the magnitude of their status. Because with the couple at the Coldplay concert, and when that situation happened, it was right there. I mean, it was to the point where the Phillies baseball team.
Isn't that cute? The Philly Fanatic and the Philly Fanatic wife.
Oh my God,
that was hilarious.
They played that beautifully. And
but
this
thing
is the thing
with him is, quiet as it's kept, or maybe not so quiet, he co-founded the company.
Yep.
So he's out, but I would imagine he probably still has a board seat.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
he's co-founder of the company. Now, she's the one who's ass out.
Yeah.
And apparently she was married to money.
Yes. Very, very long money.
What is it? Newport money.
Yes.
And that's long, old money. Because even new money don't bother moving to Newport, even if you can afford it, because what's in Newport?
No, facts. No, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, he was a co-owner of the company. I think for him resigning, it wasn't a matter of anybody beating down the door for him to resign. I think that was just total PR because it was just so freaking huge. Now the interesting thing with Whoopi, because I do think that this is an interesting article. Let's face it, Whoopi makes a ton of money. She makes a ton of money working at The View. and she also lives extremely well in New York. And so Whoopi has a lifestyle that God bless her, she's worked hard for it, so I ain't hating. Whoopi has a lifestyle that she has become accustomed to. And in 2025, that rich New York lifestyle, which, hey, I wish I had, I ain't hating. That lifestyle that she has become accustomed to is not one that is maintained on doing a movie or a guest spot on a show every 5 years, or doing a feature on Harlem with Megan Good for a couple of seasons. That's not maintained rich woman of a certain age in New York money.
No, for sure. And to that point, it says here, I gotta keep paying those bills, baby. Goldberg 69 told Aaron Taylor tonight on September 9th, which was yesterday. When asked if she's considered slowing down, Goldberg admitted she has, but quickly added, "Who can afford to do that?" To Jonathan's point, if you don't marry well, you gotta keep working. The EGOT winner equipped. When the interviewer pointed out that her decades-long career accolades suggest she's set for retirement, Goldberg rather pushed back, "No, not now, not yet." And it says here. That she's no longer.
And let's face it, people make assumptions about what entertainers make. Whoopi has always been a working actress, not a $20 million blockbuster actress. She's a working actress. Whoopi has probably had a couple of good sized checks, especially around the Ghost, Jumping Jack Flash era, because particularly with like Jumping Jack Flash and those things, those were her movies. She was literally the star of those movies, but it wasn't like Beverly Hills Cop or Terminator money.
Right, exactly. And also
maybe
to that
3 million at most.
Right. And also to that point, I think Whoopi has done enough work that she will always get work. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. You hit it on the head. She's done enough work that she will always get work. She's only 69. She's not 80.
No. And also
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just going to say this very quickly here. It says when she was on Who's Talking to Chris Wallace, she told former CNN anchor Chris Wallace that she no longer has the energy for that type of committed relationship. You know, when you're married to somebody, you have to be invested in how they're feeling. I'm not. She could tell you, I'm invested in my kid. I'm invested in my kids. I'm invested in my son-in-law. I'm invested in my friends. But I'm not invested in a relationship that requires as much time as having a child requires. And I know that's not for me. And honestly, tell you the truth, one of my good friends, they said to me, Bray, I'm 40 years old. I do a thing on Clubhouse called the Onyx Collab. It's a little bit of everybody. So we talk about relationships from time to time. And he said, Bray, at this point, I'm grown. My kids are grown. I want to be able to do what I want, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. And what I recognized was just because somebody has their standards and requirements doesn't mean they don't have the capacity, but they are where they are. And
they can choose not to be interested in being anywhere else but where they are. Now, I'm actually older than your friend. So my crew is, I actually have lots of friends in their 40s and 30s, quite frankly. But my crew is the 50 plus crew. And so the 50 plus crew is walking around 50 and fly and took care of themselves and what have you, like you said, and even more removed where, have raised the kids. And at that point, the kids have even already gone to college and done. Now, some of them might still be living with them, but you don't have that acute bill paying that you did when you were writing the tuition check. So maybe grandkids, maybe not, depending on, the age. Some kids are just coming out of school, so no grandkids yet. But the bottom line is, and even if they do have grandkids, they ain't my kids, they your kids. And so, and so, but the bottom line is, these women, because now I can speak for the women crew, you just spoke for the man crew. These women are more like on the Whoopi side of things, are not beholden to this notion that society wants them to be beholden to, which is that you have to be with somebody, and if you're not, something must be wrong with you, or
some people just like peace.
Exactly. Something must be wrong with you. The ones who date regularly, happily date, Some of them have partners and are happily living in separate residences from their partners. I'm not married to you. I ain't got no reason to live with you, and I ain't got to take care of you. If something happens, if you get sick, call your sister. So I'm messing with you.
What's the point of an emergency contact if you don't want to be around me?
Contact is your sister. And if she busy with her kids, she ain't coming either.
I'm learning a lot. I really but the bottom line is they have their own. They are happy in that situation. Let's face it, if you lived long enough, you realize, especially if you're a woman, if you want sex, whether real or imaginary, it ain't hard to get. It's really not. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what you shape like or whatever. There is a dude who is willing to hit it if you're willing to get it. So if sex isn't an issue, if you got your own, you're paying your own bills, and this is not because I know I'm not. This is not some screw men. Whatever. No, I'm not even saying that. Because if you notice, I said we'll take the companionship. I need if she got to go to the AKA function or whatever, and it's black tie, and everybody gonna be with the ones who are married or with spouses and have dates, she'll go get a date, or she may have a date on speed dial. Just like if he got to go to the alpha function, he need her on speed dial. So there's levels to this.
Everybody's getting what they need. And from like what Whoopi said is she's not invested in the relationship that requires very much from her. And at her age where she has worked, and also we got to remember, she actually has been in relationships before. It's not like she, some long-suffering old maid. Whoopi's got it in. We've seen her, we've seen, because the relationships that we've seen, those are just the ones we know about. I tell people this all the time. When you see folks in these high-profile relationships, those are just the relationships you know about. When they're dating, the businessman that works, that's vice president of the bank or whatever, nobody knows who he is because he's just the vice president of the bank or the guy who works at the bank or whatever. So nobody's reporting on that because he's not a celebrity too. And he doesn't want anybody to know about him, and she's respecting his privacy. So you know what they do? They go on dates where everybody is not at. So we don't know what Whoopi is doing. Whoopi might have a steady piece that breaks her off 2-3 times a week.
And we will never know about, nor should we have to, because that's her life.
Because that's her life. But I think what happens is when women like a Whoopi, another example of this, because I think since Whoopi is 69, people give her a pass on beating her over the head when she says things like this. But let's take a woman who is a bit younger, actually more in my age range, like a Tracy Ellis Ross. Young and definitely younger, gorgeous, banging body. And in her case, she hasn't been married or had kids.
Right.
And expressed it. Yes, and it expressed at one point she may have had the desire to do so, but then just whatever.
Right. And she's clarified herself on that too. It's not the fact that she doesn't want to not be married, but her energy is at such a frequency that she doesn't have time for anything else. Now, I'm not going to sit here in front. Tracy Ellis Ross could have been Tracy Ellis Lee. However, I think Tracy Ellis Anderson wouldn't be too bad either. So, Anthony, listen, I'm pulling for you and her. I thought y'all did a great job on, Blackish. Since I can't be there, Anthony, because I'm here and y'all there, at least somebody should get it. Because she seems like a good person, but I think where the problem is, and I think this gets back to Tyler Perry as well, and Whoopi, and to all these celebrities, no matter if you're sitting on the hill looking down low or you're sitting low looking upon the hill, everybody's got the same damn issues. It's just some people have more resources than others, to fix those problems. That's it.
And some people project. They project, whether they're projecting their thank you, Amina. Some people project their issues, whether it is issues because of societal ideas of what a woman should and shouldn't want, or should or shouldn't be like at a certain age, or their own bullshit on to her. Tracy gets a lot of projection from men or male identified women about, or birds, another word for them. She gets a lot she gets a lot of projection from people who go, well, you know, she's too much of this, or she too much of that, or she thinks she this and she thinks she that. How about she just think that she, you know, that she a rich auntie living a good life? When you see them together, it looks like, at least from the outside looking in, because we're not there, we can only go by what we see. But from the outside looking in, it appears that she has a relationship with her siblings and their children. She obviously has a wonderful relationship. She worships her mother. So they obviously have a great relationship. She loves to travel. She works. She seems to have other friends. You see her sometimes with the other rich aunties. And again, we don't know what's going on in her bedroom because she chooses to keep that to herself. So we don't know whether or not Tracy got a rolling roster of D when she feels like getting some.
Exactly right.
Or whether she uses a battery operated boyfriend. We don't know.
Exactly.
The point is, from what you see, she seems to be fine. So why are you projecting onto her? Well, it must be because she did.
Here's the thing, right? And I always say this: attention equals noise, sound equals purpose. So if you are about your purpose, you're only going to allow things that will maximize your purpose, match your purpose, or give you a space to breathe from your purpose, and it's not going to break from that. So when I see Tracy Ellis Ross, I'm like, she's handling herself. And honestly,
that trip show is everything. I want to do that.
Let me tell you something. That is Roku's #1 original series in the history of all the Roku originals.
Love it.
And she threw down. And honestly, to tell you the truth,
because she got us all wanting to be rich aunties.
Yes.
She got dudes wanting to be rich uncles, rich whatever.
I did say Tracy Ellis Lee is a wonderful name. I did say that, and I stand on business.
Who knows? You never know. You might go on a trip and run into her.
Listen, that might not be the only thing I run into. Anyway, I'm sorry that came out my life. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be a professional.
She won't settle, and that's the same thing with Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg. Once she said, now I understand why a certain side chick is called a bird. Exactly. Whoopi Goldberg is the same thing. She doesn't want to settle. It's just that what she doesn't want to settle for is different. She doesn't want to settle, and this brings us full circle back to what I was saying about her living her best rich New York woman life. Whoopi doesn't want to settle for a life anything less than the life that she has established for herself.
That part.
And the life that she established for herself costs money. And so as long as ABC is willing to write her the millions of dollars that allows her to do that, then she's going to take that check and do that. Because to her point, while we all know she said it to be facetious, but dumbasses are going to red pill it and take it to something else. But we understand that she was being facetious. She's simply saying, I didn't lead a life that allows me to have the life that I have and not have to earn it because
exactly right.
I don't have an inheritance or a rich husband or what have you. So what I have, I will have to earn. And the most important part that a lot of the red pills and birds are going to miss is that it is the fact that she is willing to earn it.
Correct.
Because that's where the argument gets lost with the whole I want, and soft life and this and that and the third and whatever. And then the red pill saying you just want this from us. Mind you, you don't even have anything. But
and you know what, to that point,
you mad about something wanting something that you don't even have, but that's a whole other discussion. But the point is, Whoopi and Tracy Ellis Ross, for that matter, are willing to work for their soft life days.
And to that point, I remember an interview with Lisa Ray McCoy. Once again, her name should be Lisa Ray Lee. Once again, it's not my fault. I'm that gifted at these last names. Okay, it just rolls off the tongue for me. With that being said,
Tracy, I feel you. It the idea of it can be a little scary, but I know people who do it.
Yeah, there's a oh my God, you type in solo travel on YouTube, you will have the travel channel for sure. And the reason why I brought up Lisa Ray McCoy was because she said to Carlos King in an interview, listen, you want to take me out to Ruth Chris, right? I get in the rooms that you can't get into. You want to take a weekend trip to Disney World, I can go to Dubai for 3 months. And from the outside looking in.
And I'm not a Lisa Ray McCoy fan for other reasons. Not this. I agree with her on this. There's a whole other set of reasons that me and Lisa Ray may go like this. But I do agree with everything she said as relates to this.
Because and you know what, honestly, from the outside looking in, if you don't sit still with that, you're going to feel triggered. But here's the thing, though. And I've always upset this
because people want to cherry pick. The same people who say, you know, I need to lead and I need to do this and you need to submit, you need to do this and that. You know, quoting the Bible they never read. The same people who want to say that seem to miss the piece about being equally yoked, because that's part of what she's talking about. And granted, we do know that can work in the inverse, where it's the woman who doesn't have. What men tend to miss a lot of the time is whether we do nothing. A woman could literally go to work every day, make her 6 figures, and come home and keep her mouth shut, never make you feel any type of way about the fact that she makes 6 figures to your 5, and it is still gonna freaking drive you crazy.
And this is the thing too.
That is the piece, because a lot of women know that. A lot of women, especially educated women, because we've dealt with it even as young as when we were in college, we know early on that you are putting yourself in a particularly precarious situation when you deal with someone who is not operating on the same level that you are. That's not to say that you can't do it, but the odds are not in your favor that it's not going to come back to bite you on the ass. Not because of anything that you did, but because of how society, because I'm not even saying the guy is a bad person, how society has conditioned men to believe that they should be in the level that they should be on in relation to their mate. And so you internalize that and bring that home and use that against your mate. Well, then you're not compatible.
Right. And to that point, right, from the outside looking in, if you hear what Lisa Ray say, you'll be like, wait a minute, how dare you? But it's like, hold on a second. Exactly. But hold on a second.
Especially since she a little ghetto, you know.
True, but we all got a little bit of ghetto in us.
No, and I'm not saying that we don't. What I'm saying is that feeds the argument of people saying who she thinks she is, saying she gotta have when she may have money, but she a little hood.
Right, but also too.
Again, I'm talking about the perception, the people.
Yes, and to that point, it is a difference that you get to that level and you stay at that level. but you've worked to that level and you haven't forgot about who you are. And so when I heard what Lisa Ray said, if me and Lisa Ray had a good time together, we would have a good time together. But also, too, I would understand if I was never on her roster. It's not personal. She's not saying I'm a horrible man that should never get no love or none. She's just at a level in her life where she doesn't have time to make somebody else, feel comfortable.
And she doesn't want to make adjustments. If my standard is Dubai, then and I have decided, which is my prerogative, whether you think that that's bitchy or snobby or whatever. Again, if you think I have that problem, why are you trying to holler at me anyway? But I digress. The point is, if I think that, if not that I think, I know because I can afford it, as in Lisa Ray, that my standard is here and you're not there, I don't have to lower what I feel my standard is to meet you. Just simply remove me from somebody that you consider dating because I have already removed you.
That's it.
And that's it. Absolutely. I'm not saying that you are a bad person. I'm not saying that you don't have values or anything like that. I am simply saying that when it is time to catch this Air Emirates flight, or that I need somebody who's ready to roll on Emirates.
That's it.
Either paying for you, possibly paying for both, whatever. And when we there, and I'm, we going to parties and I'm popping bottles and I'm opening and I'm ordering stuff off the menu, I'm not looking at price tags. I want to roll with somebody who's not looking at price tags.
Exactly.
If you have to look at price tags, I'm not your chick. Now, that is a very different thing, in my opinion, from being somebody who ain't got shit.
That part.
But has the audacity to say they want to roll like that and they only want to deal with somebody who roll like that and whatever. That's an entirely different conversation.
Absolutely. Without question.
And you still can aspire to that.
Oh, absolutely.
But if people clown you, I kind of know why.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you don't have a right to want that. I'm just saying that when people clown you, I can't defend you. I will simply, my defense attorney hat comes on and goes off at, well, she can have a right, he or she can have a right to want what they want.
Exactly right.
And then I ain't got no more arguments for you. I got to go home.
No, absolutely. And you know what? I often have said to my friends when it comes to talking to a grown woman, what my frame of reference is this, because I like Jill Scott, I like Tracy Ellis Ross, I like them grown.
You like them grown. That's right.
But here's the thing, though, right? I also understand that this method that I'm about to give y'all is not gonna work for every woman, because if jobs have standards and requirements, so do men and women. But with that being said, here we go. If you are 30 years old and you somehow get around a 4-year-old that looks 30, do not pretend to relate to everything she's been through in life.
Exactly.
Because
she
you're
just
wasting
happened to
her
look
time.
good, but she been through so she done lived some other life.
Exactly. You wasting her time and yours. Whatever you can relate to that. But whatever you can't relate to, listen to her. Use those as tools to build up your relationship. Now, in the same token of that, if you want that Cinnabon cinnamon roll in your life every single day, you also got to take the Cinnabon store that comes with it. So if she got kids, those kids are part of the Cinnabon store. If she got a mama that she can't stand.
I like that you're calling them the Cinnabon store instead of baggage, but same difference, yes.
Exactly, right. So if you want that Cinnabon cinnamon roll to come every day, you gotta take the employees and the profits and the deficits of everything that comes with her. And if you can't do that, then you can't get with a grown woman. But also too, that don't mean it can't happen. You just gotta be responsible for what you can bring to the table. And before anybody says, Braylon, you ain't grown enough to say that shit, guess what? There are some 40-year-olds that at 31, there's some 31-year-olds that at 40. Okay.
And that Lord knows that's the truth. I know some on both ends of the spectrum, and I'm not entirely sure. Well, I actually do know. I prefer. I will take a 30-year-old who thinks they are 45 over a 45-year-old who thinks they're 30 any day.
There it is.
So, or I won't say think, because again, they could look good, but I'm talking about mentally operating from that standpoint. Absolutely. Because the world has changed so much, and the time frame for those changes in those major cycle shifts, but largely because of technology, have happened at smaller intervals. When I look at myself and, for instance, my siblings and cousins and of course now kids and etc., we can see it, especially if you pay attention to stuff like that, where 30 years ago, those of us who were, because I'm in between my aunt, but for my aunt and my sister, I use those two as an example because I'm 5 years younger than my aunt and 5 years older than my sister. So they're both basically they're my sisters because of that age, the age difference being so close. And so when the 5-year age difference between me and my aunt, especially because it was 80s based, our generations are the same. For the most part, things track the same. The 5 years difference between me and my sister, although we're both considered in the same generation in terms of, X, XY, millennial, whatever, we're considered to be in the same realm for that, because her coming of age was more shifted into the 90s. Things started to track a little bit faster. So me and my girlfriends are more similar to the 5 years before than the 5 years after. Mm-hmm. But then once you get into 2000s, those shifts are like every 2-3 years, because technology has made everything move so fast. So if I'm dealing right now with someone who is 30 or 35, we can relate because I'm a people person, so I can relate to pretty much anybody. But digging deeper into our actual shared way that
history,
we approach the world.
Perspective. Yes. Okay.
Yes, the way that we approach the world in our perspectives from that standpoint, whether it's relationship wise, whether it's our hopes and dreams and fears, and all of that is very, very different, a lot more different than it probably would have been if we had that age difference 30 years ago. So that's why I say that whole being able to relate is a lot different. It's so weird when you change your screen. I'm like, oh, that's me. But anyway, this is what happens when you and I don't talk for a long time, because then we end up talking about 11 things that don't have crap to do with where we started.
But you know what though? This is the thing about virtual tour, and this is why I love the format that I created, right?
Yeah.
We started off with one destination. And by the way, y'all, I got other links in my description box that you guys can go view. Let me tell you the reason why I do the links in the description box. And I gotta give Kashori Love her credit. Kashori Love been, she's been doing her own thing the way she wants to. And here's the thing too. If you move how you want to, I don't hold you for it. I don't. I just have the right to how I feel. But I give credit where credit is due. I think John knows that. I think all y'all know that. I give credit where credit is due. She said, hey, listen, I love the topics that you do, but could you have the links in the description box so that way I can follow along? Also, too, that saves your ass in a lot of shit. So, even though we started off with Tyler Perry, we did the assignment. We went to that destination.
We did.
And then we talked about everything else.
I mean, and with the Tyler Perry thing, I think ultimately there are pieces of Derek's story that are believable. In fact, I got to be honest with you, in reading the entire complaint and in seeing his interview today, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater on this. I don't think I can. There are things that Derek Dixon is saying that are quite believable, and quite frankly, truth be told, most of the commentary that I've seen on this, people that I've talked to about it on other platforms, etc., what I am gathering is, although maybe people aren't going to believe it in the light of day, right?
Right.
A lot of people are not disbelieving him in terms of saying this could have never happened, especially because, you know, people have their whole like, is he or isn't he when it comes to Tyler anyway. So,
Correct.
you know, he's been getting the eternal side eye from a sexuality point from a lot of people anyway. So, and everybody again has the running joke about the pretty boys that he chooses for his projects, and they tend to, especially the white ones in particular, tend to have a look, and Derek has that look. He looks like Eddie from the Have and Have Nots, although Eddie was more fine. He looks like, so he not only is there a pretty boy thing, but there is a type as well. On the black side, there's the Shamar Moores and what have you.
Right.
So, and of course, the argument could also be what they want to look, what they want to see.
Correct.
Take it however you want, right?
Exactly.
Depends on what you want to believe. But all of that being said, whether it's because of giving of the general side eye that people kind of give Tyler generally, like the musician who plays at the church that talks bad about homosexuality, yet you have the flamboyant choir director, but you pretend that he's not, because he, you know, him and the choir be killing it and y'all win all the choir competitions.
Yep.
So we have a history of that as a people. We certainly have a history of that in the church, and Tyler Perry taps into all of those things because that is his audience. So again, we get that piece. All of that being said, with that as the background, I do believe that a lot of people looked at Derek Dixon's story, and hi Lisa, looked at I could see it on there. A lot of people looked at Derek Dixon's story. That's going to be somebody great for your show, Dr. Lisa Starr. She's a student.
I definitely will.
Yes.
Welcome in.
So I think a lot of people looked at Derek Dixon's story. They also looked at the things that he said and the things that Tyler allegedly did. And I don't think it's a matter of people disbelieving him. I think the issue is that people just don't feel like he should get the money for it because of, again, that 1, 2, 3 we talked about earlier. The fact that he's a man, the fact that he's a white man, and the circumstances in terms of him, not being physically hurt, because that's what people look for. Despite everything we know about psychological, we know what people look for. The fact that he wasn't physically hurt, the fact that he went there multiple times, the fact that he did get this 85 episodes. So that's another thing that they're going to be like, you're a user, you were on the show and you were fine as long as you were on the show and you were getting a paycheck, and then you're no longer on the show anymore and he kills your character off and now you're mad, and all of a sudden everything that you were down with and that you knew kind of, I'm talking about what the people are saying. It's not John to the lawyer. Everything but if I were defending Tyler, I would say everything that you knew was potentially keeping you at with the job. Like, I'm not gonna sleep with you, but I'll wink at you. I'm not gonna sleep with you, but I'll come to your house. I'll let you look at my booty. I'll text back and forth with you. All of the things that women, quite frankly, get accused of doing all the time.
Facts.
So I think that is really what the issue is here. I don't think that most people think that when they read this, especially again, if the text message are taken as real.
Yes.
Because when you read those text messages, if those text messages are real, there is no question what was going on here. I'm not going to call it grooming or anything like that, but there is no question what was going on here. This was an employer flirting with their employee and keeping them on the hook, and potentially an employee who knew exactly what time it was to make sure that they stayed in good with that employer, and it was all good until it wasn't. And the problem is everybody listening, that despite the fact that every word I just said may be 100% true, and in real life and our regular life, whether we in the hood, whether we in with our girlfriends, no matter where we at, we can call that some bullshit, and we can call that a scheme that Todd set up. When it is your employer, they win.
Absolutely. No, and without question. And I think this honestly is a real good lesson for entrepreneurs. In so many different instances, right?
Which is the only thing saving Tyler right now, because again, nobody's going to throw him out of Tyler Perry Studios.
No.
Because ain't nobody dead.
Exactly. And when I say it's a great lesson for entrepreneurs, it is the lesson here is the higher the investment into your gift, the higher the responsibility is to maintain the blessings that come from that gift. Because honestly, to tell you the truth, I wanted to bring this up here. Let me bring up these two things because y'all may not know this, but I do. I keep both a little bit of everything here. Let me bring this up here. So Tyler Perry inked this deal with Linsey Davis and Reform Media Group. Now, it's a development deal. Nothing's came out of that yet. Now, of course, Tyler Perry really doesn't do deals with other people. As it says right here,
that would require him to let them write something.
Exactly. That part. It's rare for Tyler Perry Studios to enter into deals with other creators, writers, producers. Perry has one other deal with former Lionsgate executive Tim Powell. The two teamed to create Peachtree and Vine Productions, a non-exclusive joint venture focusing on film, television, and digital scripted and non-scripted
Good
content.
for Tim making sure it was non-exclusive.
Yes. No, absolutely.
Very
so
smart.
Davis is the Yes, absolutely. Davis is the co-founder of Creative Collective, a management company dedicated to supporting diverse creators. She launched Reform Media Group in 2020 as a means to produce socially and culturally relevant television and film content.
Good for her.
The company focuses on amplifying marginalized voices across the entertainment industry. Now, that's a deal that a lot of people don't know about. This deal recently happened. A&E Global Media, which, by the way, A&E Global Media is owned by Hearst Communications and Disney. Now, you're probably wondering, Bray, why are you bringing that up? Because if you don't know,
Disney.
There's been a lot of...
Because it's Disney.
Yes, but also, too, there's been a lot of mergers and acquisitions in the media space. NBC Universal has spun off their cable brands into a company called Versant. Warner Bros. Discovery is separating the linear networks from the studios and the streamers. I just saw an article a day from Deadline that Dave Slassoff says should be around April of 2026 when that deal is done. And
meanwhile,
Disney,
Warner Brothers Paramount screwed all the way around because they're in Trump's crosshairs.
Exactly. With the $8 billion deal for Sky Paramount, the only way that could happen was they had to get rid of DEI. The reason why I'm bringing this deal up right here is because Bob Iger said on a CNBC interview, while our competition is leaving cable networks, we're keeping them. Now, Disney and A&E Global Media is now exploring a potential sale of their cable networks. So with this, the agreement is a multi-series development focused on unscripted programming. Tyler Perry Studios, Pantheon Media Group, and A&E Global Media. Networks involved, Lifetime and A&E will be the primary platforms for this content. And the reason why I'm bringing up his media deals is this. Everybody remembers Michelle and Shay Shay, right? And how big they were supposed to be $100 million deal.
And remember, not so much Michelle, because the Michelle thing was somewhat problematic, but he managed by the skin of his teeth to get through the Michelle thing. It was Lil Miss, I'm retired from OnlyFans.
Yes. She wants to be called boss now.
The day before told everybody to call her the Don.
Yes.
That's what took it the rest of the way out.
Exactly. And so with that being said, that deal that happened for Shannon, like John just articulately stated, as she often does, if he doesn't respond, it keeps Netflix in play, it keeps Amazon in play, it keeps the Reform Media Group deal in play, it keeps...
Now, he's eventually going to have to, but he's strategically not doing so to try to keep the story
Exactly. It's keeping the A&E media deal together, it's keeping his BET deal, and also his minority stake in BET Plus. This is why I sometimes really get tired of some people who are more concerned about a show airing on the network than the moves that are happening around the show that air the network.
We're never going to understand the moves. You and I pay attention to the moves because of rooms we aspire to be in. So we pay attention to that part. But this brings me back to, remember earlier when I was talking about respecting the people who are a part of the circle. Now, when I was initially talking about that, certainly I was referring to his primary fan base, the people that made him, and again, how this being big and messy, how that impacts them and how they look at him. But again, something getting big and messy that you could quiet down also impacts all of this other stuff. Correct. These are the things that kills deals. Yes. This is why whenever something happens, now we of course know, because of paying attention to this stuff, that a lot of it is conspiracy theories, but some conspiracy theories are based in fact. Now, correct, while I do not subscribe to every conspiracy theory that involved, as I know you don't, with every black man who is ever sued or charged with something that, oh, they only tried to take him down because he was getting ready to try to buy NBC. Bill Cosby was not going to buy NBC. As much money as Bill Cosby had, he did not have NBC Universal money. You know, so maybe a minority stake, something. Exactly. You know, and which he may have, he may have already had at least some stock anyway because of all the money he made them with the Cosby Show
and also
the Different World.
And also, too, let me add this to it, and then I'll give it right back to you. Even Steven Spielberg, is a creative consultant.
Amount of money.
Exactly, he's a creative consultant for Universal Creative. He's never went after to buy any network. So
George Lucas.
Exactly. Star Wars.
He's got dumb money.
Yes.
I mean, Star Wars money is dumb money.
Yes.
Without
question. So I wanted to bring that up for anybody to say, well, what about the other side? Well, the other side,
they ain't doing it either. Because
they're not doing it either.
Because once you buy them, it's also a money pit.
Yes.
You know, the number of salaries and deals and this and that you have to keep in the air. Having a network is not all people think that it is. That's why you see people have them and then not have them anymore.
Exactly.
It's not what people assume it is. And no, you don't control everything and you don't get to do that. The only people who get to do something like that is Rupert Murdoch.
Yes.
And that's a whole different, that is a whole different level of power. And it started on the news media side and then went the other way. It didn't start at entertainment and then go that way. It came the opposite way. So the narrative was already controlled by the time you got to the point where you decided to make them an actual player in terms of content. You already had a media empire.
Right.
But and again, we're talking about billions of dollars. That's why him and his own kids have so many issues that literally a family making a deal made the front page of the New York Times yesterday.
Absolutely,
because
it did.
that is how big the levels of money, and it spans continents. The Murdochs don't just control the media here. We're also talking about a media empire in Australia and a media empire in Europe. So when you see the show Succession and know that Succession was based on the Murdochs, even the amount of money that the whole Succession had, that doesn't, and the empire that family had in that show, that still doesn't compare to the empire that low-key, high-key, the Murdochs fully control.
And like John just said, there is a bit, there's like how we do our virtual tours is we utilize public information and realism as the foundation of every tour. And then we build up the show from there. Same thing with Empire, same thing with Power, same thing with the morning show from Apple TV. There's a bit of truth in there somehow. Now, I'm gonna
the only show that tracked closely, and I mean, then they, had to Hollywoodize it to make it watchable, but track closely in terms of just the time and just the horror of what was going on would be The Wire.
Yes, no, absolutely.
But that was more about the overall vibe of what was going on in Baltimore during that time, and in a lot of other cities as well, as opposed to the actual people, even though they kind of, you can say, oh, well, this was and that was. But anyway, back to the Tyler Perry of it all. This to me demonstrates, like I said, for those of us who don't subscribe to those conspiracy theories, as much money as Tyler has, arguably more money than some of these other individuals that we've talked about. Probably all of them at this point. The money and the reach that he has, and even he's still not sinking all of his money and reach into one place. Even with Tyler Perry Studios, they are partnered with other people, and he still has other people use Tyler Perry Studios. That's because that brings in income so that so that the lights stay on. When Marvel used Tyler Perry Studios for Wakanda, they had to pay Tyler Perry Studios big bucks. That keeps the Tyler Perry Studio lights on so that he could do the goofy shit y'all like to watch, like The Oval.
Yes, no, absolutely.
So the bottom line is, when you have issues like this, and now we're going back to the point we were making about things being based in fact, although it may not be factual that these individuals were systematically taken down and charged because they were going to buy this, or R. Kelly was taken down because he was going to try and do this and that with Sony, and while all of those things, or maybe it was Michael Jackson they tried to say about the same difference,
right?
While those things may not be true actually, the lore of it does come from a factual place, which is that when you are involved in businesses on a global scale, especially businesses that require partnerships and you to link up with this one and that one, and they get reviewed by the Department of Justice because they have to make sure that, you know, there is, you know, all the things, you know, that they're too big. That's the situation with Paramount. That's the situation with many companies. When I've been involved in cases where they have to, you know, look at them and monopolies and all of that, they also, the individuals, the power players who are involved in those things, the individuals who run those companies, while we know that they may have shady shit going on, because it's hard to become that powerful without some shady stuff and shady deals and whatever, they can't be talked about in open spaces. So even if we know that you are the biggest jerk in the world, which is how you became so powerful, we cannot have it discussed out in the open for the whole world to know that you also do this and that to your employees, and that you may be somebody who is running up and down the hallways, you know, trying to stoop every dude that you see that you think is cute. That is why they get rid of these CEOs and CFOs. It's not because the company has morals. They, you know, Fox News didn't get rid of what's it, Roger Ailes. They didn't get rid of Roger Ailes because the company had morals. He was making money for them. They knew exactly what was going on there. Absolutely. It was the culture of that. It was the culture of the place. Just like homie, you know, it's my brain is having a fart. Who was the most famous person? He was their famous guy. He started out on a current affair. No, a current affair was Maury Povich. No,
hang on. Bill O'Reilly, if I'm not mistaken.
Bill O'Reilly. Do you really think that the company didn't know when they were the ones who were writing the checks? He wasn't writing. Whenever those women filed complaints against him, he wasn't writing personal checks. Those checks were coming from Fox because the behavior was at Fox. They knew what Bill O'Reilly was doing. As long as he got good ratings and he was their top guy,
absolutely,
they were fine with it. It wasn't until it came out and it could affect their advertisers and everything like that. Same thing with Roger Ailes. It was literally the culture at the network. He wasn't a one-man wrecking crew taking down every woman that he came across. It was a culture of him and not the whole culture.
And not to mention too, with those,
he became the scapegoat for it.
Right. And not to mention too, just because there were mechanisms there doesn't mean that the people within those mechanisms followed what they were given from that person who was done wrong. I wanted to bring this up because when it came to Bill Cosby, right, and the NBC thing, Nick Cannon was the chairman of TNIC. I'll play this for a minute. Here we go.
The network is hard. But as chairman of TNIC, my leadership style is definitely hands off.
Cut!
Bring that headlight in a little bit closer because I like.
Meanwhile, he takes down everything at Wildin' Out he can. There's no, he literally uses it for a milk for baby mama.
You got to do the morale.
Right. So this is the thing with Nick Cannon, right? He was the chairman of TNIC. So because Nick Cannon was the youngest person at Nickelodeon from all that and grew up, they said, hey, listen, our teen division needs some help. People know you. Can you be the chairman of TNIC where you can, you know, be the creative engine? You know, you can give the logo a look. You can give these commercials a look. If you think about these commercials, this is like the commercials of This Is Sports Center. If you guys remember those commercials, you can decide maybe some programming, or let's just say for, you know, when it's time, if they say, Braylon, you know, you go on tour all the time. We want the Brainly Virtual Tour TV network because there's a lot of other people that go on tour. We can make shows out of that. That's the only time where there will be a brand partnership or a licensing deal where I bring my creativity to the Brainly Virtual Tour network and you do that. That doesn't mean I own it. That means I'm in partnership, right? So Those are really the only
But
ways.
your behavior reflects on those who you're in partnership with, so they gotta dump you. And in the case of Tyler Perry, while they can't get rid of Tyler Perry studios, Tyler Perry Studios may not go anywhere because that belongs to him. People can opt not to mess with you, which screws you up and anybody else who is associated with you.
Correct.
Because people have made deals with you, but then you can't make deals with anybody else.
Absolutely.
Hello, did your thing freeze? Oh,
no, you're good. You're absolutely good.
So it's.
Oh, I just paused it, child. I'm sorry. My bad. Let's
we need to reduce our dependence.
Okay, your mouth is moving.
She looks familiar. Why does she look familiar?
I think she was probably on Degrassi. Probably. Nick Cannon did many variety commercials.
Yeah, but I'm just saying she looks like somebody who grew up to be somebody.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I can't remember from what I say Degrassi because Degrassi was one of the shows on Teen Nick at the time. But I brought this example up to show you that there are ways to, run, a network. And by the way, y'all, when Nick Cannon said, as the chairman of Teen
running
Nick,
a television
this
network
was
is
his
hard,
office
but as
here.
chairman,
I don't know if Viacom really is that slick and modern. You know what I mean? Because there is a thing as staging, ladies and gentlemen. There is a thing as going to another building and say, okay, listen, so, and I'll put it like this. The brand is the fun side. The company is the adult side.
Yep.
So this was the fun side of Teen Nick.
It's the brand.
Cannon got to do the fun side. The business side was everybody else. Okay, are we getting advertising?
Meanwhile, they didn't realize that he was paying attention to the other side because what they didn't anticipate was him circling back to Viacom about wilding out. I think they were like, what the hell?
Yep.
That was they were literally like, what do you mean it's your show? What pray tell are you talking about, Nick? Your show?
What pray tell? Okay.
The show completely linked to you in every way? The show you created? You mean you're supposed to get something from this?
Not Viacom being Jeff Sessions. I don't recall. I can't recall it.
I do not recall. That was crazy.
Yeah.
But it's what happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But you know what?
I mean, we basically saw him dealing with Viacom about wilding out. Yeah. It was a version of what happens in the music industry every 15 seconds.
No, absolutely. And I think what ended up happening with that, and the reason why they worked it out was for many reasons. One, this history here being the chairman of Teen Nick. Number two, that he's been in the Viacom family for so many damn years. Yeah. But number three, when you are the main boss in charge, back then, the 90s, radio, TV, internet was starting, you had all the power.
Yep.
But because of these mergers and acquisitions, and because content creators have independence and they need cash flow, like John just said, me and her understand the moves, because if you understand the moves that are happening around you, understand what you're seeing in front of you, they recognize, oh, we ain't that motherfucker like we used to be. So let's give him what he wants so we can keep this ad revenue and we can keep our relevance. But
and on top of that, he had Wildin' Out had already begun doing tours, and they were successful.
Exactly, because the networks will never want you to know the game. If Viacom, Paramount, Disney, Fox, CW, if any of them saw Braylon's virtual tour, and they wanted to bring on their show, let me tell you the boardroom meeting that would be happening. Hey, listen, this Braylon guy is great, but have you watched his regular shows, his deep dive live shows, and his cultural moment shows?
Mm-hmm.
this brother's IQ is on a level where he will say what needs to be said and understands the game in such a way where he can speak to his audience and they can relate because he's making it in inviting fashion. That's too dangerous for television, because we're not supposed to have people who know the game on national television.
Exactly. And I, have more issues with Nick Cannon's foolishness than we have time for. But when it comes to that, when it comes to playing the TV game, he does know what he's doing. He just royally fumbled the situation with the talk show, because remember, because he, not even so much because of Wildin' Out, really more so because of his successful tenure on America's Got Talent, and then of course ultimately Wendy. But America's Got Talent and also The Masked Singer, they knew what he could do in terms of being a host of a variety situation. So which to me is even more his speed. Yes, he does talk stuff because he has the radio show and he's got his podcast and whatever, but variety stuff where he gets to act up and what have you and really interact with the entertainers or whatever, that is where he shines. So an Arsenio like situation, what have you, if he had not gone off on the weird tangents that he had gone off on, they were ready absolutely to set him up with one of those coveted night spots. Now he still hosts that, but the difference is, because people are like, well, he still has a Masked Singer or whatever. The difference with that is they can't take that from him because he owns it.
Right.
So because that show is successful, people love seeing, I guess, guessing who's inside of a giant bird singing. Because that show is successful, it will stay on, and he will host it for as long as he wants to, because it's his show. When you look at the end of the show that comes on, the logo is his. So that's just like with Tyra and America's Next Top Model. People can say whatever they want about her, looking back at hindsight, oh, she treated me this way and treated me that. Screw all y'all, whatever. At the end of the day, y'all wanted to be on her show and you were killing yourselves to be on her show, and that there was top model literally all over the world, and she owned it, because when the show went off, what came on, the vault closed and it said Bankable Productions.
That's it.
So she's gonna eat off of that forever. She don't have to do nothing else but pop out and do a show ever so often and go back and start another ice cream parlor with her mama.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too. I think growing up in the 90s, I thought that hosts had ownership, right? Because you see them and you see how prevalent they are, and so it's like, oh my God, Ryan Seacrest is Ryan Seacrest, Dick Clark is Dick Clark. But even Dick Clark knew the business, and he
Dick Clark was brilliant.
You know what I mean? So, and Don Cornelius as well. So for me, when I look at my media career now, I look at this thing called maximum impact of exposure. If, let's just say, for example, somebody
by the way, the Viacom and they're getting back at him. Remember, I forgot about this one. See, you and I talked about when he sued them. We forgot. Viacom is got their in the middle of their get back with him, because they're in the middle of suing him because of his show on Zeus. That suit has still not been resolved.
Oh, that is true.
I totally forgot about that. I was giving him props
there was a
because things did go well for him when he sued them.
Right. There was a thing. There was a thing as bad. It was called Baddies versus Wild. I remember that.
Yes,
it was something controversial for it, and
so they sued him in February. So that's still ongoing. That hasn't been resolved.
Right, and that's a very good point too with what you said, is because when you take your brand to other people, there's layers to it, right? Yep. So if I do Braylon's virtual, like for example, I show Braylon virtual tour on Stars, right? That's Stars. If I wanted to do something with Braylon's virtual tour, it would have to be within the Stars family.
And it would have to be non-exclusive. Like for instance, the awful, although I didn't think it was, I thought it was awful. Sorry guys, I just do that pop the balloon thing. I know that it's a phenomenon, but it, bad for the culture. But at any rate, they have to deal with Netflix, but from what I could see, because it's still on, not only is it still on, was still on YouTube while it was on Netflix, and while new episodes were airing on Netflix, and on Netflix it was 10 times worse, but than on YouTube, if that's even possible. But it was still airing, it was still on YouTube, and it appeared that there was still new episodes on YouTube. So however that deal was structured, it did not require them to not still do things on YouTube. I think, of course, on Netflix, they had a celebrity host, and even, some of the people who came on the show were obviously obvious plants from other shows, because I remember, like, on one episode, Louis from every iteration of Love Island was also he was on like maybe the first or second episode. So I think so, however they structured that deal allowed them to do it. Now there's probably maybe the episodes that they were showing on Netflix, on YouTube, they had already filmed, and so maybe that YouTube was like, okay, Netflix was like, okay, well, if you already filmed them, but maybe they just couldn't do any new ones. But the bottom line is, it was still you could still see it on YouTube, not the same episodes that were on Netflix, but just episodes that clearly were in real time. So how you structured those deals are important, just like the historic deal that Ryan Coogler did for Sinners, which and those things do not happen every day. And Tyler Perry, bringing it back to him, has done some amazing deals. When you think about the fact that he not only has a deal with BET and BET Plus, and of course, if he's a minority stakeholder and all of that, but Tyler also, even before he had stuff on Netflix and Prime, he had stuff on BET, and I think it was OWN at the same time. Wait, no, was it WeTV? One of them, whoever did If Loving You Was Wrong, that was not a BET
that
show.
was OWN. That was OWN.
Yes, that was OWN. And then and even Oxygen, because he had a show which to me was the best out of all three of those shows. It was better than If Loving You Was Wrong. It was better on BT. He had a show that, oh my gosh, it was about these people that, do you remember? It was about these people that lived in a trailer park. There was a president involved. There was a woman who was overweight and couldn't get out the house. There was, oh my gosh, it was, because he had Loving You Was Wrong, the have and have nots, but even it was on around the same time as the have and have nots, and then when If Loving You Was Wrong, that other show suddenly stopped.
So there was a show called Love Thy Neighbor.
No, because I thought Love Thy Neighbor was a comedy.
No, it is a comedy. Hang on, I'm about to pull up Tyler's Wikipedia.
Yeah,
quick.
no, this was a drama, and it was good. It was very gritty.
Where is it? Okay. So there's Meet the Browns.
Too Close to Home.
Right here?
Yep.
Okay.
It was on TLC. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So he had a show on TLC. If Loving You Was Wrong, if I think Too Hot to I'm sorry, The Have and the Have Nots came on before If Loving You Was Wrong. So Too Close to Home and The Have and the Have Nots were on at the same time. Mm-hmm. And then If Loving You Was Wrong came on. The Have and Have Nots, was that on? Now, what was that on? Was that BET?
The Have and the Have Nots was on OWN. So Tyler Perry did an exclusive deal with OWN. So it was just
maybe what got sacrificed was Too Close to Home. And Too Close to Home, I mean, he was bringing in some folks because, I mean, Heather Locklear was on that show.
Yeah, I see Heather Locklear and Matt Magida made guest appearances.
She came on. She wasn't. She was like one of those. Midway through, Heather Locklear showed up. We were like, and then she was on regularly. But when she showed up, it was kind of like, which is funny because it seems like when even through the '90s and the '80s and '90s, that was always the effect when Heather Locklear came on the show. There would be a show that would be on forever, and then suddenly they cast Heather Locklear, and we'd be like, "Oh, well, now we got to watch because Heather Locklear's here." Because even with Melrose, suddenly Heather Locklear, we're like, "Okay, I'm in." So,
right.
So she was that girl. I was like, so we were like, "Oh, wait a minute, Tyler Perry done went and got Heather Locklear." I mean, we know it's been a minute, but for those of us of a certain age, Heather was that chick.
Yeah, Heather
showed up. You're like, okay, now we got a show.
Right.
So
I did not know about this.
I'm telling you, it was good. Everybody that I know who watched this show, we all feel the same way about it. Like what happened. And of course, as you saw, the seasons were short. There were 2 of them, but there was, I think, as you saw in there was there was not a lot of episodes. Yeah, but it was season 1, season 2. So it had 16 episodes and they were good, but it was gritty because we're talking like trailer park and like Mean Mom, but it was like part of the storyline was a woman who in a non-scripted series would be on My 600-Pound Life, but she's like got the kids. Yeah. It was, and that wasn't like the main thing, but it was a part of it, so that made it even more gritty because the people were poor, but it was good. Better actors than all 1 million episodes of The Have and the Have Nots. I mean, we watched it, but Lord knows it was exhausting. But I will never forgive him for that entire season that turned out to be 1 week. But then, If Loving You Was Wrong, there was an entire summer that turned out to be 1 day. So, I guess that's just how I roll.
Yeah, that's the thing about that. I think there's a reason why people love both sides of TV. For me, I love unscripted because that's how I am, right? Mm-hmm. I don't really follow a script. You can tell from this live, I've said many things that were not that, and Shonda has too, but it wasn't in the script, but it made the show fun, right? With a script on the sitcom and drama side and movies, you gotta follow that thing to the T. And so,
but if it's a good one,
then it's a good one for sure. And one of my good friends, he said to me, "Dude, your reactions to shit is hilarious." And I'm just like, why? Because you're so invested, and you go off and say what? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm telling you, that is why we have to talk about Unknown Number. Have you watched that yet?
Unknown Number. Is that what is that?
It is the documentary that everybody is talking about right now. Like literally, if you were to search Unknown Number on YouTube, you would see every content creator talking about it and doing numbers.
I have to do my research on that because I have not heard
huge.
that.
So it is so Unknown Number. It's on Netflix. But what you also want to do, so take this note, is you also want to read an article about it that The Cut did actually back in January. I don't even know if they knew it was going to be that a documentary was in the process at the time. But The Cut did an article on it back in January that, you know, most of us didn't know about until the documentary. And of course, you see the documentary and you're like, this documentary could have been 5 episodes. Now, you know how Netflix and Prime will do these multi-part documentaries, and sometimes they'll do a multi-point documentary and you be like, you know, that could have been an email, or y'all could have done it in 2 episodes instead of 4. This time they do it in 1 part in 90 minutes, and you're like, okay, there is way more than we missed. So when everybody went to research and be like, I gotta have more, turns out that there was an article that The Cut did back in January that gives exactly what we thought. There is a whole lot more. Now, there's nothing that the Netflix documentary did that was not what the actual story was. I mean, but it was just so much more detail that it makes you, as much as you wanted to punch certain people in the face watching a documentary, once you read the article, you like, okay, well, this ain't just a punch in the face. I'm gonna have to beat somebody down.
Can you give me 1 moment? I'm going to reset my computer real quick. I was trying to type in something, and for some odd reason, the keys are kind of shifting.
Okay.
It's going to be real quick. I'll be right back. Hang on, y'all. I'll be right back. Hang on. All right, I'm back.
No problem. I am here. But yes, so
we'll look that up. Unknown Number. This is the thing too, y'all, because I do cover so much. I promise you, I think John just said it earlier in the live. Here's the thing, because I do like keep up with so much, I would have seen it just by looking at it, but not like knowing it like in deep.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So believe me, I sometimes my brain if I could talk to my brain, you know how they always say, if you know dogs could talk, Dr. Doolittle. If my brain could come out of my head and talk to me, I feel like my brain would be like, you know, I know you're a genius, but could you please not be so smart all the time? Damn.
You know what? I can't with you. I really can't.
Because it's a lot to keep up with. I'm even surprised sometimes. Because my production schedule and my distribution schedule really is in the same day for these lives. Like turnaround time. So it's
Yeah. Okay. So I am back. I had to print something for court tomorrow because it's what we do. But anywho, we have been on just running our mouths for hours.
Yes, but it's been a good one. It's been a good
it
time.
has been a good one. But you have a homework assignment.
Yes.
You
I have unknown number, so I'm typing that in now just so that
unknown
way.
number, and once you watch it, because if you read it first, it's gonna give you the reveal. Because there's a reveal that I wish I were literally watching you watch it. That because I know you, and you're gonna lose your stuff. You are gonna lose your ish when the reveal happens. So definitely don't watch any of the reviews. When I say you could see just the number of people, I just said do a whatever because just the sheer number of people talking about it, TikTok, Instagram, it is because it premiered. It's been over a week.
Okay.
It has been over a week, and it is still one of the hottest topics of conversation. And the fact that the young people involved are, and again, of this generation, which means nobody is quiet. If it happened 30 years ago, then those people would be like, I'm not going on, whatever. But because the young people in particular involved, younger and older people, which will make sense when you see it. But for the younger people in particular, this all happened literally maybe 2020, 2021, and they were like 13, 14 at the time. So right now they are still literally only like 18, 19 years old, which as a parent, I feel is problematic in terms of that. That is an issue I have with the documentary and in general because of the re-traumatizing of the young people, particularly. Well, you know what? I'm going to go down the rabbit hole, and a lot of the things that I could say right now are going to be better said when we talk about it because there are layers to it, especially the piece what I was about to get into about the young people. But the bottom line is what is keeping it at the forefront of conversation, I do think, is the fact that the current nature of the young people still being young, which means they are very much online and now starting to make TikToks of their own about, certain things that were said and done and the perception of this one versus that one. And so that has also contributed to keeping it in the news. So we're talking, which for a 90-minute documentary, to still be one of the top trending topics, and it premiered. This thing premiered on the 5th of September. So that is the level to which everybody is blown away. It hasn't been a day gone by, even on my personal Facebook or whatever, where somebody I know, I guess, is finally, in the midst of work and life or whatever, had a chance to see it and are like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And these are Black folks.
Right.
And the situation happened to some young white kids, and it's even got Black people mad. That is how crazy this thing is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because usually we'll watch their stuff and we'll talk about it, but we'll be like, my emotion is gonna be like at about this, considering how little consideration our kids get when something jumps off. But this one grabbed everybody.
Well,
and so even with content creators, like I said, if you do a quick YouTube search, this isn't just like white content creators talking about it. It is everybody.
I'll have to do my research and dig in, and
and like I said, it's doing numbers. So from that standpoint,
right? No, for sure. And that's the thing too, is anytime that I do anything on here, most 10 times out of 10, every live has been like just jumping off of my own curiosity along with the cultures. And it's a great
and I think that's what makes this one great, because it very much connects with the culture, but the culture broadly, because we are talking about the digital age, and again, when you see it, you'll get that factor. But again, multi-layered, because like I said, the overall concerns about the fact that it was done, and then we know the voyeuristic nature of the world that we live in, and then how it continues to grow its legs, because it is also involving, we are now at a point where things that are occurring, even if they occurred 10 years ago or whatever, and especially if they involve young people, are now starting to track with the generation who was born with a device in their hand, who don't know anything else but to live life in a digital way. And this is sort of a digital attack from within, but on several different layers. So it is not only great from a, oh my God, and talking about the actual facts, but again, so multi-layered. I'm looking at it from the standpoint of a lawyer and the legal ramifications of it, the law, the psychological effects, the young people, being a mother, and also having a daughter who is exactly the same age as the victim is now, and imagining what the impact would have been on her then, especially in looking at not only my kids, but myself being a woman and being a 13-year-old girl once, and the impact that certain things would have had on me, and what I was already going through at that time, just being a young girl and having a certain level of victimization, and how it was done and where it came from and all of that. So great topic. Looking forward to us digging in. So give it a watch and then hit me up so that we can schedule when, because we could do it simultaneously on both
good.
Our things at once.
I'll give you my I'm going to give you my IG in the private chat now. Hang on.
Yeah. Okay,
so it should pop up now. That's my IG. So DM me there.
And I think I already had that, but let me double check anyway. So anyway, I will hit you up so we could schedule that, and also talk about some of the other upcoming stuff as well.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Good night. I know everybody who's probably into that. We just got like deep into like the metadata of what we do, and y'all are probably like, so y'all couldn't do that, whatever. Look, you're learning stuff.
Exactly. Like listen, there are plenty of other content creators that have said stuff that have got them into lawsuits. Okay. We have said everything from factual information. Okay. So
exactly, including planning our calendars.
That part. Love you, my friend. I will see you
All
soon.
right. Back at you. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, good people. What a great live. By the way, shout out to Just Jonda there. Her link is right here. Let me pull her link up right here. Right here. So like, comment, share, and subscribe there, everybody. By the way, if you're still up, everybody, in just a couple of minutes, I'm going to do the Braxtons, because the Braxtons are coming back for season 2. Trailer came out today. It ain't really
now,
that
why
long.
are you making me have to come back and watch you? I can't stand you. Goodbye.
Well, here's the thing.
Going to make me get right back out here.
Well, here's the thing. It was supposed to start at 8:30, but I pushed it back to 9:30
I am going to talk to my friend, and then I'll come back for the Braxtons.
Okay.
Good grief. I don't even watch them heifers no more. Bye.
You know I'm going to make it a good time regardless, though. So with that being said, everybody, I'm going to be just a little bit late, because I want to get the Daily Motivator in here. So let me get the Daily Motivator in here real quick, and then we will move right on along to being over there. Okay, so give me just a moment, everybody. Just a moment. I'll be right there. All right, everybody, it's time for the Daily Motivator. We have it in our power to begin the world again. Thomas Paine. It's time for the Daily Motivator for Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. Find delight, revel in the joy of being alive, embrace the extraordinary opportunity of your own awareness and ability to interact with all that surrounds you. Experience how wonderful it can be to feel weary after fulfilling a day's work. Enjoy the recruiting blessing of awakening to the unique possibilities of each new day. Find delight in discovering what's new and interesting. Treasure the fulfillment of making a difference in the lives of others. Remind yourself that for every single opportunity, there can be 100 blessings. Appreciate how sweet it can be when you open your eyes to them all. Push yourself again and again into the incomparable experience of creating something valuable and original. Enrich your awareness by finding beauty in magnificent vistas and tiny details and everywhere in between. Yes, life has its troubles, yet even those troubles help to make the overwhelming goodness of life that much more worth living. So, with that being said, my three things from this. We found delight tonight in hanging out with Jonda and talking about Tyler Perry, everything in between. The thing that I love about virtual tour is you know what virtual tour is, but you don't know what virtual tour is going to give you. That's the first thing I would say, because we talked about Tyler Perry, but then we went to all of these different other destinations. And that's what life is, right? Life is definitely nothing but a crystal staircase. But with every step leads to different levels, which goes through different doors, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is remind yourself that for every single difficulty, there are 100 blessings. For all the difficulties that it could be of going after my dreams, there are just as many blessings, right? Never think for 1 minute, just because you're going through hell doesn't mean God is not keeping you covered while you're going through that hell. Remember the fiery furnace, right? Those three boys came out and no soot was on their clothing, right? So that's the second thing. And then finally, the third thing. Yes, life has its troubles, yet even with those troubles help make the overall process of life that much more worth living. When you can recognize that the trouble does not have to define you, that you can tackle that trouble and be better for it and from it, that's what you do. And with that being said, it's time for the best outro on YouTube. Know what you do and do what you know. Never say you weren't born special, because you are always born a blessing and trust. You may not be where you want to be, but by the end of it, you'll be where you need to be. Do what you've been chosen to do. Watch one thing, call yourself is another thing. Be chosen. One love, much love, all love. We have spent time with you. You have spent time with us, and hopefully by spending time together, we're great together. And always remember, we're doing radio, television, YouTube, living your best life, or just having a good time and understand the magnitude of the more that you do, the more that you're responsible for with a good friend like Jonda. Make sure the replay is not just for you. Watch it, not just for you. Let's do it if you want to experience it again. We love you. We value, we embrace you all. Always remember, receive, love you, God, give it, receive, love you, God, give it, receive, love you, God, give it, wherever absolution for come, where success you have achieved upon this particular day. We're extremely proud of you, but no one else will probably be proud of your damn self. And finally, y'all, this is far from over. But just because it's far from over doesn't mean that we don't know new details. One love, much love, all love. I'll see y'all over at the Braxtons in just a few minutes. Bye, everybody. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.